Woohoo! Mabuhay, mabuhay!
Mabuhay.
Welcome, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Yan. So we have um, more people coming in. So, ayan. As we begin, siguro, let's introduce ourselves. So, hello, Patrick.
Hello, everyone. I'm Patrick Angeles. I will be one of your hosts today. And together with me is...
Kimmy, and we're excited to journey with you together. Medyo parang outer space tayo today, no? Creating that safe space for
Oh,
us to
yes.
join together as we explore ways, no, to care for our well-being. So we have here, no, shout out to SDO Mandaluyong.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Renato Lopez Elementary School. Yan.
So
And
maybe you could share in the comments where you're joining from. Is that right, Kimmy?
yes, we'd love to know, no? Kung saan kayo naglo-log in ngayon for our session today. And we have seen, no, sa registration pa lang, hindi lang nationwide, no? Mula Batanes hanggang Hulo, meron din tayong mga international, no, na registrant. So,
Hmm.
welcome everyone. Ayan.
Yeah,
Let us
so
know.
let us know where you're coming from. So maybe I could kick it off from where I am. So
Mhm.
ang good morning sa amin is Maya Paabak ke Kayungan. So that's a good morning to you all in Kapampangan. So if you could share in your comments the way you say good morning and the way where you're joining from, we'd love to see it in the comments section.
Mhm.
Sa iyo ba, Kimi, paano ba yung good morning mo?
Yes. So, minsan, naaalala ko yung mga days na nagigising ako tapos unang hirit, no? So, parang napapakanta ako ng unang hirit. Ayan. So, talagang magandang umaga. Ayan. So, o kaya naman yung sa radio, di ba minsan merong maganda. Ayan. So, we have more here.
Yes. So let's start.
Sige.
Whoa, they're coming in. Hello,
Mhm.
Elizabeth from Renato Lopez Elementary School, Mandaluyong also.
Mhm.
Dressley Pastera, pagpasensya nyo na po in case mali ang pagkabigkas ko. Friends pa rin po tayo. Oh, from Davao. Good morning, Dressley. Then we have Alexa Salamanca. Good morning.
We
And
also have Cebu. Maayong
yeah,
buntag din sa inyo.
naimbag nga bigat from Elizabeth Martinez. So sana tama pagkasabi ko. Take two. Naimbag nga bigat. Go ahead, Kimmy.
Yeah, we also have magandang umaga, yes, from Caloocan City Business High School, no? So we have a number of participants from Caloocan City Business High School. Shout out sa inyo. Yan. We also have from Ilocos Norte. Hi, Carla. Naimbag bigat. Yan.
Parang marami ata sa North, no, Kimmy? So,
Mm.
biased ako kasi sa Pampanga ako eh. So, let's go, Central Luzon. Pero here, we have a good morning from Lapu-Lapu also.
Mhm.
Hello, Seth. Grade 5 and 6. Another from
Yeah.
Renato Lopez Elementary School. And Lilian. Gawis ay agsapa from Sabangan, the mountain province. Good morning.
We also have, no, we also see na meron din tayong mga parents, no, and teachers here, and together with the youth, no. So talagang across all ages, and this is something that we're all curious and eager to learn about and to explore, no, today.
We'd like
Yan.
to know also, no,
Mhm.
anong klaseng ECQ ang nasa area niyo
Mm.
ngayon? Kasi may ECQ, may MECQ, may GGGCQ. So, ano nga ba ang sitwasyon sa inyo? So, we'd love to know what's going on from your end. Sa
Yes.
amin,
Sabi
ano
nila
eh,
tapos na yung BBQ no? Tapos na yung summer mode daw. Ayan. So we're on to, ayan, we have here MECQ, ayan, modified, no? Magandang umaga. Lots of hearts coming in and
Yes,
greetings.
yes. So Ashley, good morning from Zaskia Enebrad, Caloocan City Business High School.
Mhm.
From si Charlene naman is from La Union. Dami. So we have John Ray Banosa. Hello, good morning. Cynthia Lynn Limbanganao. Good morning from MSU IIT Iligan City. I love it. We're seeing different places, right, Kimmy?
Yes, yes. We also have here from Tanawan. Hi, Angela from Lily Rose School. We also have, ayan, from Rotaract Club of San Pascual. Welcome, Brenda.
Good morning. So we're seeing mga ECQ and MECQ. So
Mhm.
we're glad that you could still join us virtually. So maganda tipon-tipon tayo. And maybe we could, I'm excited today, Kimi, kasi when going through yung ating mga speakers,
Right.
ang dami nilang, napaka-diverse ng topics, no? So
Mm-mm,
what
mm-mm.
are we to expect this morning, Kimi?
Yes, no, this morning we're going to explore different aspects of well-being. So, parang pag sinabi pala nating well-being, no, hindi lang siya yung how much sleep we get, nor the physical aspect,
Oo,
pero
oo.
we'll also get to explore, no, unpacking what is, no, well-being really. And together, no, we'll also explore our strengths and how can we get ourselves unstuck, no? And also, bago mag-launch mamaya, no, let's tune in. Aabangan natin na we're going to explore food for the mood, no? So, yan,
So kasama
saktong-sakto
pala
ngayon.
ang food sa well-being, no, Kimi?
Yes, yes.
Pero if food is part of well-being, sige, gusto nga
Mhm.
namin malaman ni Kimi, ano ang breakfast niyo ngayong umaga? So put it in the
Share with
comment below.
us. Mm-mm.
Ako, Kimi, ang breakfast
And,
ko, kape.
ayan, sa akin naman hot choco.
Ay, naku,
Woohoo!
sakto yan. Sakto yan sa
Ayan. So,
tag-ulan.
mm.
So wow, we're seeing in more comments. Hello,
Yes.
Raven. Good morning, Raven from Caloocan City Business High School. Jedidiah from Caloocan Business High School as well. Finley Hannah from Caloocan. Daming parang isang area kaya ata kayo nagla-log in ng ng live streaming ngayon. So we
Mm.
have Jenny Ritz Mitra from Caloocan City Business High School also. Jake Natividad Fabian from St. Mary's University, Bayumbong. Nueva Vizcaya. Oh, GCQ naman ang
Sige.
level dyan.
Mhm.
Okay, so
We
eto na ang
also
mga breakfast, Kimi.
ayan na. Parating na. So we have from Lizette, oatmeal, no? Typical breakfast naman for Danny. So hot dog, yung mga all-time favorite, no? Hot dog, egg, fried rice, and hot
Oh,
choco. Aba,
Kimi,
kompletong
naaamoy ko bigla
kompleto.
yung sinangag, yung garlic rice na yan. Delikado tong tanong na to.
Woohoo! We also have yan, classic din ang canton and coffee. Long life, 'di ba? And perfect for the weather. Yan. Anong flavor kaya yan? Chili mansi or calamansi?
Ako, hot spicy yung favorite ko, Kimi. Sana team spicy tayo. So with fruit juice, scrambled egg, fried rice.
Mhm.
Ano pang
We also have ang biscuit.
biscuit.
Yes.
Gisingin na po natin ang magluluto para may makain po kayo, Miss Alva.
Mm. Yan, we have
Jedediah, Quaker
oatmeal.
Oats.
Yes. Hot milk, no? Tapos pandesal and
Ayan.
banana. O, diba? Lalo na kung mainit pa yung pandesal, no? Yeah, we have fruits din.
The best isawsaw ang pandesal sa hot milk or sa kape.
We have here sopas at coffee. for Leng. Isa pang classic, no? And a blessed day as well, no? To everyone. So, from Renato Lopez Elementary School in Mandaluyong. Woohoo!
Hello, Miss Rebecca. Good morning. And we have more people coming in. So yeah, invite your
Yes.
friends kung hindi pa sila nakapag log in sa StreamYard. So before leaving a comment, please tell your friends na gusto pang sumali sa ating live streaming ngayong umaga na pumasok using the link that will be sent para syempre gusto namin makilala yung kasi you will be logging in via Facebook kasama ang display picture nyo, tapos nandun yung pangalan nyo. So we'd love to get to put a face to the name. So unless ang pangalan ng inyong ang picture ng inyong Facebook profile ay pagkain, so mahirapan kami malaman ni Kimmy kung sino kayo. Yes, so please share the links to your friends. So we'll continue to read and greet the folks. So Stella Marie, again from Caloocan City Business High School. Maricel Padua Lopez from Taguig. Si Winnie Joyce Haramilla from Caloocan City Business High School. Buong Caloocan City High School nakikita na natin.
Yes. Kompleto. And
ayan, nagparamdam ang Nueva Vizcaya. Hello, Derek. Law student naman. Mukhang marami ang articles ang binabasa mo ata ngayon, Derek.
At shout out no sa mga students natin. Let us know also if nagsisimula na ba ang pasok, ayan, back to school na ba o kaya naman bakasyon pa. Ayan. We'd love to know. We understand na minsan iba-iba yung schedules na rin, no? So we have here, hello. May mga shout out din tayo, no? From Manila at and we start seeing people tagging their friends. So that's lovely. Yes, feel free to tag your friends as well.
Tag away. So si Rin, very passionate. Yung hi niya may hi from Manila.
Yes, tapos merong me from Cebu. Hi, Kim.
Hello, Kim Charles. Uy, ang sarap naman ng beach na background.
Oo nga.
Hello, Bea from Caloocan City Business High School again. Si Rosh Galupo, maayong buntag from Mindanao, Pagadian City, Zamboanga del Sur. And then si Gretchen, enrollment pa lang. So, ayan, sakto ngayon. We're very excited to share the speakers kasi in preparation para sa school, maganda yung prepared tayo sa bakbakan ng, tama ba, sa stress and sa other things that will disrupt ang ating well-being.
And what's interesting also is today we'll be exploring ways to be proactive din, no, on well-being. Parang paano ba natin ma-maintain, no, itong sense of wellness and well-being in a holistic manner.
Oo. And yung maganda din dito, Kimmy, no, madali na maspatan kapag hindi na akma, hindi na quote-unquote maayos ang well-being. So, maagapan natin sa simula pa lang ang ang signs of stress. Tama ba?
Yes, tama.
Mukhang may konting leakage na pero kokontrolin ko yung sarili ko para hindi natin mabigyan ng advanced information.
We have here din na August 23 daw ang pasukan, no? So, yes, may time pa, no, na makapag-relax at ma-enjoy yung remaining days also of vacation. Ayan. And some tools, no, that will help us also with online learning and day-to-day. So, shout out din to Jalea from Iligan Institute of Technology.
And si Gio John Miel from Caloocan City Business High School. Feliz Lay from Osamis. Hello! Continue to tag your friends. Love it. So, hello Mary Margaret Nicole Arganyosa from Caloocan City Business High School. Sige, mukhang sunod-sunod ang Caloocan City Business High School. So, isang pasadahan ko sasabihin. Hello Julius Dolor Elaine Concepcion, Fatima Ignacio Talingdan, all from Caloocan City Business High School. There we
Mhm.
go.
And now
Si
maybe we can explore pala our games na rin, no? So meron din pala tayong pa-game para sa ating
Oo, siyempre.
mm.
Makikita natin kung gaano kabilis mag-chat ang
Oo
taong
nga.
bayan sa comment section natin.
Ayan, so let's play together. Yan, emoji game, no? So guess the message. And we'll be flashing a few slides, no? That wherein we'll invite you to guess kung ano siya. So ang category natin today, Patrick, ay
Movie.
movies.
Testigan nga natin, Kimmy? So, if you're ready for our very short game, kindly comment in the chat box below, I am game. Tignan nga natin kung ready na sila sa game. Type in I am game in the comments box to be para malaman namin na game kayo at ready na kayo manalo ng prizes. Tama ba, Kimi?
Yes.
Ayan, nakikita na natin ang mga mabibilis mag-chat. May I am game, may I am game. Mukhang kargado nga sila ng breakfast, Kimi. Magandang
Yes.
sign ito.
Ready na. Ayan. So, ma-explore natin ang creativity natin at guessing powers today.
Oo. So, shall we flash our... Okay.
So, let's go on for our first round. Yung first round, warm up muna to. Okay? Warm up muna. So, let's type in. Ayan. Ano kayang movie ito? Woohoo! So, series ito ng movies, no? Ano siya? Meron yata siyang 1, 2, and 3.
So, practice. Type in the comments below so that we know kung may nanalo na. Okay. So, base sa timestamp ng ating comment section, si Lian Sebreros, Toy Story. Tama nga ba ito, Kimi?
Correct. Ayan.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Great job, Lian. So, are you guys ready for the next movie? Let's go.
Yes. Ito naman ay sariling atin to, no? So, local movie ito. Kung saan, ayan, based ata siya sa isang story, no? Ayan. Or book, if I'm not mistaken. Pero ayan, ano siya? 4 words. So, yan yung clue natin.
4 words. Challenge mo na kagad sila, Kimi.
Medyo challenging na to. So, itong round na to, no? Meron tayong prize dahil medyo challenging to. Mukhang, tingnan natin. Let's wait a few more. Pero parang nakikita ko na yung sagot. Ayan.
Parang nakita ko na rin, Kimi.
Yes. Local movie po siya.
So, I think Carla or Ria Galen got the answer correctly. So, that thing called Tadhana.
Yes.
So, don't worry. This is the second round. We have a few more entries. So, sa mga gustong manalo dyan, you have a chance pa rin. Let's flash the next slide. Ayan. What movie is this?
So, ito ay, one word lang siya. No? One word.
One word. Bakit Toy Story din?
English naman ito. Series din ata to eh. Yan. Meron din siyang mga sequel, ganyan. Ay, oo, pwede rin nga pala siyang Wall-E, pero hindi.
Oo. Pwede.
Pwede. Robocop. Close. Ano pa yung isa na medyo kinokollect din ng mga tao, no?
Kinokollect.
Medyo collectible din siya.
Yes.
So, one word.
Shall we give them a clue? Another clue?
Pwede rin parang minsan, vroom vroom, no? Meron,
Oh, I think I saw it.
ayan.
I think I
Yeah,
saw it.
it's here, ayan.
So let's
We
flash it. So
have
si Desa
the
Ocioso Figueras, Transformers. There we go.
woohoo!
Good job, Desa.
Congrats, ayan.
Pero gusto ko yung isang sagot Terminator. Good job, John Kyle ako. Boto ako sa sagot na yan. Let's flash the next slide.
So ito naman ay isa sa mga classic, baka nakakwento to ng mga magulang ninyo, no? Or mga tito-tita. Ayan. So siya, Filipino movie din, local. 4 words.
4 words, yes. So nakikita namin kayo, Chriselle and
Yes.
everyone else. Karil, di mo sila nakikita pero nakikita namin kayo. Ayun! We saw the answer already.
Yes, yes.
So
We
Elizabeth
have
Martinez Edu Katibog, Home Along the Riles. Yes, you got the answer correctly. Thank you.
congrats. Woohoo!
Congratulations. Yung iba, baka sa ibang kabataan, di na nila nadatnan itong kaya nahirapan.
Oo nga, medyo alaman na ng age bracket. Di ba, meron pa ulit mga recent movies sa susunod. Ayan. Ito ay mga 2 to 3 years pa lang, no? Or maybe 4 itong susunod natin. Ayan. So, ito ay isang musical naman, no?
What is this kaya?
Let's see. So, ang
Stairway to
tema ay
Heaven.
circus, no?
Yes,
Kung
yes.
saan, ayan, meron na
May-
tayong nakikita. Okay,
Ay.
all caps pa.
Oo, di siya excited i-type ito. So, Neil Russell Vergara got it correctly. The Greatest Showman.
Congratulations. Woohoo!
Kakanta ka ba, Kimi?
Baka sa susunod, ayan, di pa nakapag-vocalize. So, yung
Okay.
susunod naman ay, ito naman ay galing sa Bollywood, no?
Ano
So,
ang Bollywood, Kimi?
merong 3 bida kung saan kumakanta sila nung kanta na All is well. Yan, sabay-sabay sila. So, ano kaya ito, no? Kung saan we are reminded, no, that really in that movie, they were sharing also with each other how to care, no, for each other's well-being.
Very important in
Yan.
well-being.
So yan, nakita na natin
found
yung
the
sagot,
answer,
no?
but she
Whether-
won already earlier. So it's Carla Oria Galeon. Pero ang susunod, actually, is si Rin Mira. So by virtue of, dahil nanalo ka na earlier, so si Rin ang winner natin. Congratulations, Carla and Rin, for being very fast sa pag type ng sagot. Okay, we have 2 more, I think, right?
Yes,
Maybe?
yes. Last 2 rounds. So, ito naman ay isang palabas sa MMFF, no? Metro Manila Film Fest. Halos hindi to nawawala bawat taon. Ayan, ano kaya ito?
Heritage movie na pala ito.
So,
Malalaman
3
bawat
words.
henerasyon na may ganitong pelikula sa Filipino films. Mukhang nahirapan natin sila ngayon, Kimi. I love it.
Ayan,
And we
meron
found
na.
the answer already. So si Honey Pearl Rose Maat, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Oh, shout out to my friend, Hannah Ross Pascual. Hello. Good morning. Ayan. So, ano talaga, household film talaga ito, Kimi, na
Yes.
alam ng taong bayan. So for our final.
Yes.
What is this film?
So meron din siyang prequel, no, na recently lumabas.
Who is our last winner? type in. We found it again. So
Yes. So
mukhang
we'll pass it on to the next winner, the next person who got the right
oo.
answer. Ayan. So we have John Malcolm Flores. Woohoo! 4 sisters and a wedding.
Kulang ng S,
Ayan.
Kimi, counted ba?
Ay!
Medyo joke lang. Na-excite sa pag-type
Oo
eh.
nga, oo nga.
So congratulations to our
Woohoo!
winners.
At this
Woohoo!
point, no, lahat tayo winner na winner talaga, no?
Of
Because
course, of
we
course.
are reminding ourselves that during these times, no, na kahit na we're experiencing these times of pandemic, no, we are able to support each other and explore. So, pakita natin sa isa't isa, no, ano ba yung pasada, no, ng topics natin today. So, we'll be starting off with unpacking well-being, no? And then, we'll also explore focusing on strengths. Tapos, meron din yung bayanihan, no? How can we celebrate bayanihan together? Getting unstuck, and yun nga, food for mood, no? And
Fantastic.
we have seen, no, Patrick, with the registration then that whatever we are feeling right now is valid, no? The entire range of our emotions, no? There are times na, yan, parang nasa-stress tayo or we feel a bit agitated. Minsan yan, pag nag-intermittent yung internet connection, o kaya naman, nami-miss na natin, no, yung mga kaibigan natin. Ayan. And we want to share the message, no, that we hear and see each other during these times.
Yeah, no. So whatever you feel, I loved what you said that what you feel is valid, and the nice thing about today is that kaya I'm very excited to introduce our speakers for today.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi if you get to take at least one lesson from this beautiful live streaming, I'm sure this
Mm-hmm.
will do so much for your well-being. Kasi ako guilty ako dun eh, yung well-being akala ko is just focus on one thing about baka yung breathing lang ba yun, pero ang laking pala, very vast siya, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all interconnected with one another. So if you apply this one, and then this one will come into the picture, it will greatly enhance ang tinatawag na well-being mo. So
Yes.
the speakers were carefully selected and invited. So again, I asked this earlier, ano nga ba ang well-being? So it's
Mm-hmm.
nice to reflect what it is. And then nung nakita natin nung nag-register po kayo, dear audience, we saw a variety of what you're feeling now. Some were saying na, yes, okay ang well-being ko. Yung iba, moderate. And there were some who were very honest in saying na, I need help. And I'm feeling not great at the moment. So like what si Kimi said, we hear you, we see you, and we feel you. And what you're feeling is valid. Right, Kimi?
Yes, yes. At with those, no, reminders, at sama-sama tayo together, no, we'll be jumping right in and journeying together, no, as we go through this YouthSpace Summit, reminding ourselves that we have, no, this safe space for us to talk about, no, all of
I love the
these.
safe space.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall I introduce our speaker?
Yes. So we'll be starting off with introducing our first speaker today.
All right. So I am very delighted to do the introduction for this beautiful lady. So Maria Lourdes Fabia, a well-being and mental health advocate, a positive psychology HR practitioner. She finished a degree of BS Psychology in Assumption College with cum laude and earned her diploma of well-being and positive psychology in Melbourne, Australia, back in 2018. She is also certified for mental health first aid by Victoria Chamber of Commerce, Australia, strengths profile, and emotional intelligence certified coach. Lourdes has more than 2 decades of professional HR experience focused on supporting multinational organizations, locally and in countries such as Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, Australia, and New Zealand. She specializes in talent management organization, leadership development, inclusion, diversity, and workplace well-being. She has worked for On Semiconductor, Watson Wyatt Philippines, and Philip Morris across different countries. An advocate of mental health and well-being, Lourdes believes that with her educational background and professional experience, she can partner with organizations as we implement the mental health law, yung RA 11036, and create more safe and mentally healthy places for work. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause for Maria Lourdes Fabia.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning to all our attendees. Iba't ibang lupalop ng Pilipinas ang nag-register sa ating YouthSpace well-being, for the next 2 days. And we are really glad to be of help to you in whatever way we can. Nakikita ko may mga taga-Tanawan. So I'm really from Tanawan, Batangas. That's my hometown. And this is really an advocacy for me. So just very quickly, alam nyo, this is a dream for me coming true today, because 2 years ago when I came back from my Australia trip or Australia assignment, sabi ko I wanted to make a summit on well-being in the Philippines. And that was 2 years ago, and I had no idea how to go about it. And with the help of the people who are here today, from the technical, from those supporting us with the speaking engagements and the sponsors, we are really, really, ako personally grateful that this is happening today. And yes, we hear you, we feel you. I've been reading all your registration from the day one we opened this, and I can really see that we all need some help today. And so let's learn together. So I'm here to unpack well-being and how we can flourish amidst the struggles that we're all facing. So whatever ECQ, MECQ, GCQ, whatever we have, make the most of this time to be able to learn, because there's so much to learn about well-being. All right. So in the next slide, let me just talk to you about basically well-being. So let's define well-being. So there are many definitions of well-being, but let me just use the most simple I think I have found from my course in Australia, from the Well-Being Lab in Australia. It's the ability to feel good and function effectively by having the resources to navigate through life's challenges. And I highlighted there the important words, feel good and function effectively. It's really a very broad topic and doesn't cover only physical, emotional, mental. So you ask yourself, am I feeling good lately? Am I functioning effectively? Do I have the resources to navigate through these challenges, through this pandemic? So today, we will hopefully give you some tools to add to your resources. Parang ano nga ba yung pwede kong baunin? Ano nga ba yung pwede kong gamitin? Kasi hindi naman mauubos ang life's challenges. Hindi mauubos ang stresses in life, Kaya nakalagay nga po dyan, well-being doesn't mean our life is struggle-free. Again, I repeat that. It doesn't mean that well-being is not having all those struggles. So dahil merong struggles and stresses in life, what is important is, okay, ano yung pwede ko pang matutunan? And so I really celebrate all of you today by taking time to learn more about well-being. Today and tomorrow, make the most of this session, because we have different speakers today and tomorrow, from students to doctor to, we have really invited great speakers for you, and they're doing this to make a difference, of course, in our society today. So that said, what else do I need to share with you? So the key here is to also understand that you have to understand first, what are my challenges, para maintindihan natin, then how can I address my well-being? So let me just go to the next slide, This is about mental health. So in the definition of mental health, I just would like to educate everyone. We all have mental health. And in the registration, a lot of you have said we wanted to know more about mental health. And so here we are talking about this very briefly. And if I can just expound this a bit more. So mental health really exists in a continuum. Okay? So you can see there, excelling, thriving, surviving, struggling in crisis. So that said, para lang yung physical health, may araw na may sakit tayo, may araw na may ubo, may sipon, mabigat ang katawan, and we need to see a doctor. Same thing with mental health. So if you can see here, if you are in a stage that you are excelling, so maybe you are really experiencing a lot of energy, you're performing well, life is good, you're experiencing flow and realizing your potential. However, because there are many stresses that we experience in life, there are days talagang, ano lang, sakto lang yung energy natin, no? Kailangan ko lang makasurvive ng araw na to. May mga ganyang moments tayo, di ba? And you can see there the different signs or symptoms depending, again, on our state. So, what is my important message here? Wherever you are in the stage here, in the continuum, is okay. What is key is know where you're at. Malalaman mo yan kung aasikasuhin mo yung sarili mo, di ba? Look inward muna. And so actually, the 2-day summit is a well-being pause for you. Ito yung oras mo para sa sarili mo, okay? So nasaan kaya ako sa continuum na ito, right? Now, the other aspect that I'd like to highlight here is, when you're feeling you need some support or someone to talk to, maybe you're in a surviving, even in crisis, professional care na yan. Get some help. Unfortunately, there is stigma on mental health. There's stigma about it. We don't talk about it, but there's also stigma in seeking treatment. Ayaw nating magpatingin kasi ma-judge tayo. Okay? Ayaw nating sabihin yan. Ayaw nating aminin yan. Pero wala siyang pinagkaiba pag sinabi ko na I need to see a doctor for my physical illness, 'di ba? Mataas ang iyong cholesterol, okay? Doon, yung mga bata sana hindi pa mataas yung cholesterol, 'di ba? But if we're sick, we're going to see a doctor. There's nothing wrong with also seeing professional help if we need to for our mental health problems. Now, day to day sa mga tingin natin, nasa striving, excelling naman tayo, kaya naman, carry naman, self-care and social support yung kailangan dyan. Self-care and social support. Let's do a quick analogy, right? Lahat tayo siguro may gadgets, may phone, may laptop, and all, especially the phone. Hindi naman natin siya dinedrain, di ba? Nagpapanik nga tayo pag wala tayong charger. Nagpapanik tayo pag walang wifi. Pero hindi natin kailangan i-drain siya. Ganon din tayo. We don't need to wait until we are drained. So what is your barometer? What is your measure that you need some recharging? So hopefully, these 2 days will give you an idea, okay, how can I recharge? What can I do? So you can help yourself, your well-being. And so a person with good mental health will feel in control of your emotions. You have good cognitive functioning and positive interactions with people around them. Just a last point, when you are in crisis, you're unable to function well. Okay? You're unable to function well. Yung mga dapat mong ginagawa maybe sa pag-aaral, or kung meron po tayo ditong attendees na nag-work na sa pagtatrabaho, and our relationships can be impacted. So, importante, reflect, where am I in this continuum? All right. So, let's define mental health based on WHO definition. So, in the next slide, you see it here. It is a state in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make contribution to his or her community. Diba? Medyo mahaba siya. I'll just highlight a few things. Sabi nga, cope with the normal stress of life. The challenge is hindi na normal because the pandemic is new to all of us. We have reached a stage of crisis, right? Hindi natin alam paano nga ba mag-navigate nitong bagong virus na ito. Ngayon may Delta naman tayo, right? So the question is, what is my stress, 'di ba? Where is my stress coming from? Yung sabi ko kanina, understand life's challenges, understand your stresses. Now, the other aspect is, how can I work productively? How can I cope? What are my tools, and today and tomorrow is really adding those tools for you so you can learn how to cope. So here, the definition has activity and positivity component into it, because when you have a good mental health, you're flourishing, nagagawa mo yung dapat mong gawin, you feel good about yourself, you can even give back to the community. So ganun yung mental health. Now, what is getting in the way for you? that's a point for reflection. Bakit hindi ako makakope? Bakit hindi ako makafunction? Bakit hindi ako makaaral? Bakit hindi ako makakontribute? So you have to, again, pause so that you can look at the areas where you can work on. Now, another important aspect here is mental health is more than the absence of mental illness. I repeat that. Mental health is more than the absence of mental illness, no? Kasi isip natin, ay, wala naman akong na-diagnose na anxiety or depression or any disorder. I'm okay with mental health. No, so let's use an analogy. No, just like with physical health. Does it follow that just because your blood sugar and cholesterol levels are normal, you're automatically physically healthy? Okay? I'm just using this as a general example. Hopefully, the young ones here, blood sugar and cholesterol levels are manageable. But honestly, sa dami ng milk tea siguro na nakonsume natin sa pandemic na period, feeling ko lahat tayo mataas ang blood sugar. Anyway, so pwedeng sabihin mo, wala naman akong issue sa blood sugar and cholesterol level, pero hindi ako makaakyat ng 2 man lang steps sa hagdanan namin. Hindi kaya ng katawan ko, right? So, you may be without physical illness, but you're not maximizing the full potential of your body. It's the same thing with mental health. You may be without mental illness or mental health concerns, but if you are not optimizing your psychological well-being, you're losing a huge chunk of what you can be. So it's the same thing, all right? So mental health is more than the absence of mental illness. Now, let's go to the next slide. Digdagan pa natin yung kaalaman natin about mental health, well-being. So yan, so ano naman to? So it's what you call a duo continuum. All right? A duo continuum kasi dalawa na yung nakikita natin na arrows dyan, okay? Guilty po tayo sa milk tea. Alan, okay lang yan, okay? All right. Mamaya tanungin natin si Dr. Candy kasi siya ang ating food for mood. How much milk tea should I consume lang, 'di ba? Napunta tayo sa milk tea. Anyway, back to the duo continuum. So, in your x-axis, you see here no mental illness and severe mental illness, right? So, nasaan ba tayo diyan? Okay, so I don't have mental illness. Fine, that's a given there. And then the question is the question now I have for you is, ikaw ba ay languishing? Meaning, kamusta naman yung iyong well-being? Bakit ko nilagay itong ganitong duo continuum? And it's really available out there in Google. Now, you can search it up. Duo continuum on mental health. Yung baba, yung languishing, sabi nga, feeling a lack of focus and a general purgatory between mental wellness and illness and the absence of well-being. Yung feeling of, ito na naman yung mga 3-letter words. Pag tinanong ko yung mga audience ko sa mga webinar, how do you feel? Ang sagot, blah. B-L-A-H, no? Emotion na pala ngayon ng blah. O kaya, meh. I feel meh. Okay? M-E-H. So, 3 na namang letters. What else? You also get this response like, oh, so parang U-G-H. So, parang, this is really something like, wala akong mental illness, but I just don't really feel great. I don't really feel like doing anything. I'm like demotivated maybe. Na pag hindi natin inasikaso yan ng maaga, it can lead to mental illness, mental health problems. Na pag tiningnan natin yung continuum pataas, you can see here flourishing. No, ito yung life's good. Life's not necessarily perfect and easy, but I am able to enjoy life. I feel good about myself. Nagagawa naman yung trabaho ko. My relationship's fine. Pwede siya. So, everyone in our call today, see again where you're at here and find how can I bring myself to a level of flourishing. Kahit pa konti-konti yan. But you only know where to go if you know where you are at right now. Saan ka mag-uumpisa, di ba? So if you can see here, sa quadrant sa baba, so it is possible to experience poor mental health without a mental health condition. So yan yung poor or minimal well-being. Pwede din naman na flourishing ka at sa side na to, and then you have severe mental illness. Meron kang mental health condition, pero I can experience optimal well-being. Pwede yon. Bakit? Because you're seeking treatment. You're getting the help you need. Hindi mo siya tinatago, right? You are getting the right support. All right? So, i-aim natin yan. Pwede tayong mag-flourish kahit mahirap ang buhay, kahit may pandemic. No? And that's why hopefully with the resources that we are giving you, helping you, and the knowledge that we're imparting with you, you can actually find your way through your journey of flourishing. Now, I heard you with all that you said in the registration that you've submitted. So in the next slide, I just wanted to tell everyone here, you're allowed to feel messed up and inside out. It doesn't mean you are defective. It just means you're human. So everybody here, we're all human, and that's why we're all feeling what we're feeling today, right? And again, the good thing is you're looking at the opportunity to be able to help yourself. Now, let's go to the next slide. I have about 2 or 3 more here to be able to impart to you a bit more about well-being. So, you can take a screenshot of any of our slides, but we do have a summary of all the talks that will be given by tomorrow. All right? So, ito siya. What contributes to one's well-being? Tandaan niyo yung acronym, PERMA. So this is, marami namang pwede, but I'm just using this because of my background in positive psychology. PERMA. So let's start with P, okay? Positive emotions. It's really about the right balance of heartfelt positivity to boost our resilience. It doesn't mean lagi tayong masaya, okay? It is because hindi naman laging masaya kung mahirap ang buhay, di ba? But we can experience, for example, gratitude, joy, pride in what we do, kahit mahirap, kahit may challenges. For me, one of the positive emotions that I always make sure I am able to experience is gratitude. Okay? Blessed tayo. May blessing ka. Okay? So, the fact that you can recognize your blessings and you can be grateful, that can have an effect on your well-being because it increases the release of your happy hormones. So, I'm just using gratitude here as an example, and I'll discuss a few more later. Now, letter E is engagement, which is using your strengths and finding your flow. Right? One of our speakers today will talk about strengths, and I'm really excited to hear from him because he's one of our student speakers today. So, and then, ang bottom line nito is, despite, again, the challenges and the stresses that we face, meron bang mga moments na parang, uy, enjoy na enjoy ko itong ginagawa ko na to. I can really lose track of time. So, for some, maybe it's about writing, some may be planting, okay, pang plantita to, pang plantito. Maybe it's about journaling, painting, making soap. Ang daming na-develop na mga iba-ibang hobbies during this pandemic. Now, the third one is sige, I'll move to relationships. The most important predictor of our well-being is the quality of our relationships. Again, the most important predictor of our well-being is the quality of our relationships. So, again, check on yourself. Yung bang mga connections ko, yung mga relationships ko sa bahay, sa work, is this meaningful? Is that authentic? Is this energizing? O parang, ay nako, naubos na naman yung energy ko. Alright? Tapos mapapadami na naman yung milk tea. Okay? Pero you have to think, your relationships really has a great impact to your life every day. So, make good choices on how you really cultivate those relationships. The fourth one is meaning. Okay, maybe, ano ba to? Medyo broad siya, pero gagawin siyang simple ng ating speaker today. We also have Albert Orr today talking about purpose. And really, I'll reserve that part for him. In general lang, I would like to say, this is really serving a cause bigger than ourselves. Yung bang ginagawa natin, pang sarili lang, o alam natin na may makikinabang. There will always be joy when we impact, when we help others. Ang tawag dyan, helpers high. Nakaka-high tumulong. Lahat kami dito na speakers, nakaka-high kami because we know, hopefully, we can help you in one way or another. So what gives meaning to your life? What do you do every day that gives you meaning? Kasi pag nawala ang meaning, minsan para na lang tayong makina, takbo lang ng takbo. So find meaning is so important, whatever age natin, di ba? And then accomplishment. Nature ng natin, we need to be able to accomplish something. Gusto natin meron tayong na-accomplish. The question there is, nagagawa ba natin yung mga importante sa atin? Okay, do we have the growth mindset to say, okay, I failed here, but I can still pursue. I can try again. Okay, and then also the other thing is, I have the courage and the perseverance to be able to push this through kasi alam ko goal ko yan. Okay, so sa mga students natin dito, ano ba yung goal mo? Nabibigyan mo ng oras para talagang ma-achieve mo siya. Right? And then finally, health. Health, nako, ito na. Guilty or not, okay? Eating well. moving regularly, and sleeping deeply. Again, we have Dr. Candy later to talk about food kasi favorite naman natin yan. I think sa buong mundo, tayong kumakain ng 5 times a day or maybe even more now. So, kailangan bigyan ng atensyon ng ating health. So, there is no mental health without physical health. So make sure this is something that you can also pay attention to. Now, down to I think this is my last slide. And I also have a question here. So pay attention because whoever will be able to answer will win a raffle prize later. Okay, so caring for our well-being is an individual and collective journey. Again, individual, aral tayo, no? Kanya-kanya, may kanya-kanya tayong experience, my context is different from yours, pero collective journey siya. Nag-aaral tayo ngayon together. Okay? Collective journey ito. Lahat tayo. And then, pag binasa ko nga yung mga inputs nyo sa registration, and just like what Patrick and Kim said, we hear you. We understand there are struggles. There are common things, no? Mental health, self-care, things around social well-being, emotional well-being. How can we transition to our work life, no? From college to work life. We hear you. So now, let me just summarize. And this is really my own version of what I think we might help people as well, right? So, give yourself and others permission to feel. Okay? Permission to feel. Our problem is we do not allow emotions. Parang sabi natin, pagka emotion, ay, hindi yan. Okay, hindi yan importante. Or emotions, crying, or maybe feeling sad, is like being a bad person. It's about time. It's really giving space for yourself and for others that it's okay. Feeling sad, feeling lost, feeling fuzzy. These are all parts and elements of being a human being. A lot of our clients in the work that I do is really, we always talk about permission to feel. We allow people to talk. And you realize, oh, just because I felt that emotion, kaya pala ito yung nangyayari sa buhay ko. I remind you, whatever you resist will persist. Babalik at babalik. It will haunt you. So, bigyan mo ng oras. So, in the morning, for me, as an example, I check on myself, kamusta kaya si Lourdes, and I feel anxious. Okay, bakit ako anxious? Ano bang gagawin ko today? Meron akong ganito. Meron akong difficult client, o meron akong deadline. So, hindi ko masyadong stress yung sarili ko kasi nagising na nga ako, anxious na ako. Or, I feel great. What's making me feel great? And then, okay, ganito pala, because I had a great day yesterday, I had a good conversation with family, etc., etc. So, number one, this is not about the youth only. This is for everybody. Give yourself permission to feel, and that's okay. The second one, perform acts of kindness. The world needs kindness. Plain and simple. It's already a hard life for many people. Pero ano yung acts of kindness mo every day? How are you treating yourself and how are you treating others? And it can have a ripple effect. Pag ikaw naging kind sa isang tao, mapapasa yan. I guarantee you, that's how it will work. So think about what acts of kindness, kahit small lang, can I do every day. The third one, live with intention. Okay, ano bang intention mo? Right? Intention mo bang mang-away today? Intention mo bang mabugno today? Intention mo bang wala lang today, no? So, you're blessed with life. And we live every day, we only die once. We live every day, we only die once. Okay? So live your everyday life well. So how do I show up every day for myself and others? Yang ikaw ba ngayon, yan yung gusto mong ikaw? Malino ba yun? Yan ba yung gusto mong ikaw? Right? So for me, do I want to show up as a person who's very grumpy or burned out to my family, to my children? Or do I want to show my children the mother they deserve? For you, for the youth here, do you want to be the son and the daughters and the children that your parents would be proud of, right? Or to basically, sino ka ba ngayon, di ba? But that really starts with knowing intentions. No? Every day when you wake up, okay, and sometimes it helps, no? Prayers, no? You pray, right? I pray that this day I may be a blessing for others. That's always my prayer in the morning. May I be a blessing for others. Hindi ako pahirap sa iba, kundi ako ay maging blessing for others. Isipin natin yan. The fourth one, have a thankful lens. No, have a thankful lens. Sabi ko, balik tayo sa gratitude. How can I savor and celebrate small things? This is worth celebrating. You're learning, we're together. Hopefully we can heal together and then we can really come out of this pandemic as better individuals, as better human beings. So kahit small things, no? Being with your family, nung panahon na wala pang pandemic, Sabi natin, sana sa bahay na lang tayo para kasama natin yung family natin. For the kids, sana I'm just at home and just study in my bedroom. Tama ba? Ngayon kasama natin yung pamilya natin, kasama natin maybe yung fur baby, kasama natin yung mommy, lola. We can do our online classes wherever we are, kahit nasa beach ka pa, di ba? So have a thankful lens. So think about this. What are you grateful for? Can be at the end of the day you ask yourself. The last point is make hope a resource and strategy. Na lahat tayo may choice. I can choose to make this ECQ, GCQ a horrifying experience or an enriching experience. Choice natin yun. Always remember that. As human beings, you have a choice. So how can you live with optimism? How can you live with the fact that you are a source of hope for other people? No one knows what the future will be like, but you can make a difference if you are a hopeful person and you are a source of positivity. Right? So with that, I have a question for the group. What do you think is my acronym here? And the first person who can write the acronym of what I'm telling you here will win a prize. So give yourself permission to feel, perform acts of kindness, live within. May nanalo na! Keep the faith. That is Kim Manlangit. Kim Manlangit, ikaw ay nanalo ng tumataginting na faith. Okay? So keep the faith and then you'll know what the prize will be. So salamat. So yes, I think at the end of the day, it's also about faith. And for a country like us, Catholic country, it all boils down to the faith that we all have. So marami pong salamat. I'd like to end my presentation with this quote. In this slide, you'll see there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If we're brave enough to be it. I think imagine it can feel dark in our country, but if you're a light, it will be a bright place. Thank you so much, and hopefully I am able to impart something for you today on well-being. So back to Patrick and back to Kim.
All right. Thank you so much, Lourdes, for that fantastic segment. And if you wanna share in the comments below yung inyong mga favorite takeaways, feel free to do so. Kasi when you repeat something, it tends to be taught in your system. So, Kimmy, no, ako, one of my favorite takeaways would be yung, well, at least for me, tumatak sa akin yung permission to feel. No? And I'd like to personally apply it sa aking life kasi sometimes we have to put on a very strong front, no? Kasi baka sa trabaho or sa pamilya or any kind of relationship, you tend to put up that front. Pero sometimes yun nga what you resist will persist. So allow yourself to feel what you need to feel. So ako, I'm definitely gonna apply that. So siguro again, thank you very much, Lourdes. And before we proceed to the next speaker, I'd like to mention lang our event partners. So YouthSpace would like to thank the Rotary Club of Taguig West, the Rotaract Club of Paseo de Rojas, and Crazy About Paper, of course. And this is also supported by Fair and Square Emporium. Okay,
Yes,
so
and of course, thank you to our participants, for tuning in. And we have here some of the insights, that they have. And should you have any questions, you can type that in the chat box, the comment section, and we will address them later on. So feel free to let us know. Yeah, and so inspiring points, keeping our mental health. And and we have here also find your meaning. Purpose,
all the way from Cebu. Tama.
Yes.
So feel free to chat in the comment section below, so that what you repeat and reinforce tends to be learned as well. So okay, so Kimmy.
Yeah. So now we're excited, to transition on to the next speaker, and I'm sure makaka-relate kayo, so I am glad, and honored to introduce our next speaker who will be sharing with us more about strengths, So really know we're stronger together and as we explore and focus first on the self. So we have Marco Johan Acevedo is an AB psychology student in Ateneo de Manila University, and he is an aspiring psychologist and strengths coach. Here to share the strengths philosophy and his personal journey in appreciating one's strengths and being kinder to oneself. Let's all welcome Marco Johan Acevedo. Woo.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Marco, and as the introduction said, I'm a new coach, and I'm currently taking AB Psych for my undergrad. So thank you guys for inviting me here. I know we have limited time together, so let's maximize this and make the most of it. The title of my talk is Focus on Your Strengths. Now, what does this mean? Imagine a life with no doubt, where you can genuinely look at situations and know exactly how to address them. So based on the Clifton Strengths Assessment, which is the tool I use as a coach, 50% of who we are comes from the experiences, the skills, the education that we've amassed over the years, while the other 50% are the natural talents we are born with. In the strength science, we define our natural talents as our default mode, our natural way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So in Gallup Clifton Strengths, our natural talents are put together into certain themes and separated into 4 main domains. So here, in this slide, to give you guys an idea of what the Clifton Strengths Assessment looks like, these are the themes with its 4 main domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, strategic thinking, while the talents, the themes, fall under these 4 domains. Now, to give a quick explanation of what these are, so you know what I'm talking about. People with dominant executing themes make things happen, while people with dominant influencing themes take charge, they speak up, and make sure others are heard. Next, people with dominant relationship building themes build strong relationships that hold a team together and make it greater than the sum of its parts. While finally, people with dominant strategic thinking themes absorb and analyze information that informs better decisions. So after taking the assessment, you will be given your top themes under each of the 4 domains, and they will be ranked based on how intense it is in your life. So for me, for example, my top 5 are empathy, ideation, adaptability, strategic, and communication. Now, because I know exactly what my natural strengths are, whatever situation is thrown my way, I know how I can naturally contribute, and I know my quickest way to excellence. Because the beautiful thing about a strengths perspective is that everyone is unique, and they have their own natural how. So from here on moving forward, the strengths philosophy says, in the next slide, focus on what is working, focus on what you're doing right, and focus on your unique how. Because whether you've taken the assessment or not, I feel like this can be a helpful philosophy to live by. And with this mindset, gone are the days that you're thinking about what you lack or what you're not doing well. Because yes, in strengths, we talk about weaknesses. But weaknesses in the strength science is defined as, when do I get in my way? And when do I get in other people's way? So it's all still a self-mastery of our strengths. Again, a weakness is defined as, when is my natural talent or strength preventing me from really achieving excellence? And when are my natural talents preventing other people from excellence? That's the definition of weakness. And so it's always in our control. For me, I can give an example with my empathy. I am led with the emotions of people. So while it can be a useful strength to make others feel understood or more comfortable, if I'm not careful, it's easier for me to feel emotionally drained, and it can affect my other relationships and what I think about myself. So in my life, it is an example of getting in my way, a weakness. But if I'm more aware of my natural strength of empathy, I can better manage it. So I choose which emotions I react to and when I can properly be there for my friends and loved ones. So to give you guys a more concrete example of my journey in accepting my strengths, I would like to share a quick story with all of you. Before I claimed what my strengths were, I had a tendency to be very hard on myself. So for most of my life growing up, I was really heavy on comparing myself to others. And when I would make mistakes, I would tell myself, oh, Marco, why didn't you know that? Why didn't you do it differently? And an example of this growing up was really comparing myself to my parents. So just like many other kids, I looked up to my parents because I thought they were the golden standard. I really felt amazed by their accomplishments. So I would put the pressure on myself to follow them and be like them. And so even when I would succeed in school and get high honors, I still felt like it wasn't enough. I didn't know how to appreciate myself. And among my parents, I would compare myself most to my dad. You see, because other than his kindness and being God-fearing, I admired my dad for being good at sitting down and focusing. I would be amazed when I would watch him because he has this ability. So in the morning, he would sit down on his desk to start checking emails or checking papers because he's a professor. And when I would leave him alone and visit him later at the day, at night, I would see him in the same spot, maybe to have only moved for coffee or food, but at that point, he had been working for hours straight. And my mom likes to joke with my dad by calling this ass power, ASS power, butt power, because of his ability to sit down and really work straight. And when I would be really negative about this before, I would ask myself, why can't I be like my dad? Why does my attention span feel so short compared to my dad? Why can't I just sit down like him and focus and be driven to complete tasks like he does? You see, the pattern prevalent here is that there's so much doubt and self-criticism, so much energy going into the direction of, why can't I? Instead of appreciating what's working, what you're doing right, and what your unique how is. Because when I found out what my natural talents were, which are more in the realm of relationship building, I realized that I need to interact with people. I need to be around people. I think best when I'm throwing ideas around with others. So to me, that even means going to different places like coffee shops to work or meet up with friends. And looking back at my experiences in high school and college, I realized that I feel most alive when I'm on the move, whether that's talking with people and developing relationships with them or helping out a particular sector or community. Anything that involves being more hands-on. So it may not be my natural strength to sit down and focus on something like my dad, but with my natural strengths, I can succeed and do other things very well. So when I see my dad's strengths, that's when I can connect the dots and go, and realize, of course, he can sit down because that's his natural how. That's his quickest way to excellence. And the beautiful thing about the strength science is the guiding principles. And these are, themes are neutral. So there is no talent, there is no strength better than another. So no person is better than another. Next, themes are not labels. They are not a what, they are your how. And we all have our own how, our own unique way of interacting and doing things. And finally, differences are advantages. And to me, this is really the beauty of the strength science, because the more different the people are around you, the greater the synergy and the greater appreciation of strengths. And you realize that people need one another. So to summarize, what these guiding principles show is that all you have to do is focus on what you're good at and those of the people around you, and then you leverage on one another's natural strengths. You see, in this way, you are focusing on what's right with people rather than what's wrong with them. It's a very positive psychology type of outlook. So imagine a life with no doubt, where you can sit down in a room or you're with people in any situation and you know exactly what you can contribute. In my relationships, I've become more aware of what I bring to the table and how we complement each other. So one of my examples is with my girlfriend and I. My girlfriend likes routines while I am more spontaneous. So she loves things in a specific way, but I help her go with the flow and be more flexible, like maybe picking a different restaurant or doing something different, going to a different place. While on the other hand, when it comes to clearly thinking things out, I appreciate her because she really takes time to think about what she's going to say, which helps me realize, perspectives that I wouldn't have accounted for. Another story I can share is my dynamic with my friends, yung mga barkada ko. So I used to compare myself to my friends who can be the life of the party. The type of people who would make others happy and laugh and feel more engaged. And I would really appreciate and love having those friends around me, but I would also wish I was more like them. But in those moments, you see, I wasn't realizing and being true to my strengths. Because what I bring to the table is that I make others feel more comfortable and give a calm atmosphere, which others appreciate. So when my friends need someone to talk more seriously with, they can come to me. And that's an example of focusing on what's working. So when I reflect on it, if I did not appreciate the differences of the people around me, I wouldn't have realized how amazing they were as people. Because differences are advantages, and people need one another. So instead of getting angry at other people for their differences or envying others for a strength that I don't have, I claim my strength and I don't get angry at others for being different from me. This is done in celebration of imagining a life with no doubt. There is no linear solution. No one size fits all to our problems. It is not a what you should do, it is a how. How will you do it while leveraging on your strengths? So to recap, the strengths philosophy says, focus on what's working, focus on what you're doing right, and focus on your unique how. Because whether people take the Clifton Strengths Finder or not, you have to know your unique how in the world, what makes you different from another person. And you have to be able to claim that. You should be able to embrace and accept who you are. To have no doubt because you are firing in life, leveraging on your natural how, on your natural strengths. And that to me really is the goal of life. That's the journey. So I would like to end with this quote in the next slide. Life is an art, not a mathematical equation. And I like this because I believe we create our own art. And so we can't compare it to another person's art. Creating your art means being someone that's true to yourself rather than the perspective of others. Because imagine if every artist sold out to the corporations and made art for the money. That would only diminish everyone's happiness. And life is not a mathematical equation because life is not about whether I was able to accomplish this or that. It's not about addition or subtraction because there is no one way to success. The path to life is not linear. It has its ups and downs. It's a mix of imperfection. And to me, there's beauty in that imperfection. So again, focus on your strengths means focus on what's working, focus on what you're doing right, and focus on your unique how. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Marco, for that strong and really reassuring message, no? That we are the ones who can show up fully and show how we can show no our natural strengths and embrace this. And I love when you said that it's a journey, that parang really finding that time, no, and taking our time to discover and embrace that as we go along. So thank you. And we'd like to echo some of the key points that our participants have shared. So here we have from Derek, making a difference today for someone who's fighting for their tomorrow. And
there's no formula
they're
for you
thankful.
to be
Mhm.
success
Yes,
from
there's-
Gio John Miel. And wow, fantastic, ang dami. A brave
Yes.
man acknowledges the strength of others.
Mhm.
Yes.
And we have some
And
gratitude items also. So thank you so much for reminding us to focus on our natural strengths from Karil Sapungan. Hey.
Yes, and we have a few moments for Q&A, no? And while we're waiting for a few more questions, so feel free to share some questions with us in the chat for Marco. So the first question here is, if I'm not good at math, is that something I should just accept? Question mark. Yan, hindi lang talaga ako math person.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question.
Right. So, going back to my talk earlier, really, you're right. We all have our own different strengths. So, to me, I would say it's okay. Like with math, or if you're not feeling good at math, I think you have to recognize that you are good, you are strong in many other aspects. So, if you may not be good at math, maybe you're good at English, maybe you're good at science. And instead of maybe focusing that you're not good at math, maybe you could focus on the fact that you are good at science, you are good at English. And so, there are always many other ways. That's why you leverage on other people. So go to your friend who's good at math. Go to ask your friend like what are tips so you can do better in your quizzes, because you still might need to answer those in school and all of that. So there you go. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Marco. Ako, I have a question actually. How would one know his or her strength? Like, what are the, if you don't have to look too far, what are indicators to say that, hey, this really is my strength, or it's not just something that people say I'm good at?
Right. So like I said earlier in coaching, we use this Clifton Strengths Assessment. So that's one way you can take an assessment. But since I know not everyone has access to that, to me, because some people may go through their whole life and not recognize what they're good at, really. So that really, it'll take reflection, it'll take investing your time in your talents. That means really taking the time to recognize what are you good at. Maybe that means journaling or being more aware of how you impact people. So again, there's the assessment, but other people without the assessment can realize their own natural strengths by just being aware of their day-to-day. Like, how are they affecting the people, their friends, their loved ones, and really owning up to what they're good at. So I do believe you're right. You can recognize your strengths no matter where you are. But you can also take the assessment, the Clifton Strengths Assessment if you guys want. But for sure, you can recognize your strengths wherever you go.
It's good. No, I guess it pays to pay attention to what happens with how you work, and the output as well when doing that executing that strength of yours. We have another question from Kim Charles Manlangit. What do you do when you feel lost, like overpowered by your weaknesses?
I like this question. And to me, this can really depend on every person, because like I said earlier, everyone has their own unique how. But to me, it's really going to my support groups. So that's my friends, because really I've noticed if there's one person who can be the most hard on themselves, it's ourselves. So we need the perspective of other people. Our friends really can help lift us up, because it helps us not get so stuck in our heads and to really see things in a different perspective. So I feel like wherever you go, having a support system is very helpful. You can going to your friends would really help to, and people you trust, just to help knock some sense into you and to tell you you're okay, because sometimes that's all you need. Just somebody to tell you you're doing good, you're fine. Right?
Yeah, stronger together talaga, no? And really establishing that support system. Thank you for that reminder. And we have another question for Marco from Derek, no? So, how can we not hurt others with our strengths?
Right. So, this is a good philosophy we also have in strengths. So we also say, with our strengths, we have to be able to name it, claim it, aim it. So let's focus on just first being aware of it. We have to be aware of how we're going through our day-to-day. Like, what are our natural talents? What are we doing when we're around people, when we're on our default mode or autopilot? So that's the first thing, being aware of it, and then claiming it, really knowing how, this is me, this is my strength, and this is how I affect others. And then you can move on to, figuring out like what you can do once you've claimed your strength. So it's really a process, I would say. I can't just give you like a quick solution, because we're bound to make mistakes for sure. So life is really full of imperfections. It's not meant to be perfect, but we can definitely work towards being kinder to ourselves and being kinder to the people around us. So I believe in that.
Thank you for that, no? Really boils down to awareness first and then being kind, no? We also have here another question. What are your insights about Jack of all trades, master of none? Is it good po ba? An insult or a compliment?
I like this question. I would say I would put a positive spin to it and actually say, yes, it's actually, it can be a good thing, but I can also see how it can be a bad thing. But let's focus on how it can be a good thing, because for me, Jack of all trades means you're somebody who can be adaptable. You're somebody who can fit in many situations. And to that in itself, that's a strength in me. So, and I'm sure you're not, there is, there's still further explanation. There's still further reflection that can be done to really realize that, oh, I'm good. I'm sure you can figure out what your strengths are, or what you're really good at. So you're not all just, a jack of all trades. You are more than the labels that people tell you. So I would just say that.
That message, no? That
Fantastic.
yes, indeed, we are more than that label, no?
Oh no, because it's a nice way to look at the question also. By if you're a jack of all trades, you're actually adaptable. That's a very nice perspective, Marco. And we have another question from Elizabeth. Is it okay to not fully use our strength, my full potential, just so there wouldn't be any comparison between siblings? Very different kind of question. So, Marco.
Thank you for that question, Elizabeth. Maybe I would say, um, it depends on every situation, but hopefully, it's really up to you. But my message may be, you never want to be in a situation where you're not able to realize your full potential or to be really who you are. So it's different really when you're dealing with family. So there are many situationers to this, but I would say please just continue to claim who you are and acknowledge that you have so much potential. I just don't want that sort of mindset to be lost, even though I know it may be difficult at times with whatever situation you're having. Just please continue to believe in yourself and to know that, and to recognize that you have so much potential as a person. So I would say that.
Thank you for that. I'm sure marami ring nakaka-relate, no? How we can also infuse that within our home setting, within the family, within the school setting, and even in work, no? So even sa barkada rin. So yes, really supporting each other then. Yeah. So we have another question from Beatrice, no? How can we make our weaknesses into strengths? Because sometimes it's hard to show our delicacy to others. Thank you.
Right. So if I get the question, um, there are, because the way, like, our natural talents, right? Going back to my presentation, 50% of who we are natural talents. So there are really some things in our life that we're really going to be born with and not be good at, right? So sometimes this is the strengths perspective. We may have weaknesses, but we let's focus on what we're good at. And again, weaknesses, as I defined it, or as we defined it, is when am I getting in my way, and when am I getting in other people's way. So that's how I would frame that. Focus on, in any situation you do, what is your unique how can you manage that situation so that you are able to turn it around, so it's not a highlight on your weakness. If that's being, like you said, the delicacy, being maybe more vulnerable to others, it's really, it's a process. It takes time. It's a journey. But hopefully, with recognizing your strengths, focusing on what's working, focusing on what's right, you can be more who you are, be more confident in yourself, and really, flourish in life. So hopefully that answered your question. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Marco. We could take in one more question, Kimmy. So we have from Brian Malonzo. How can I turn my weaknesses into my greatest strengths?
Right. So another perspective to look at this, other than weaknesses, as how I define weaknesses before, right? So you see, sometimes maybe our strengths in its raw form, if we haven't claimed it yet, if we haven't named it or been aware of it, they can be sort of our weaknesses. So my example earlier was my empathy. Before recognizing, that I am somebody who may have stronger empathy, I would be, like an emotional punching bag maybe to a lot of other things, because I wasn't aware that, oh, I'm absorbing this much emotions from the people around me. So it goes back to, I would say, the framework, really naming, claiming, and aiming it. Really, first recognizing what you are good at. Is your weakness your strength in its raw form, your natural talent in its raw form? And maybe you could turn it around and start being more aware of how you can make it or use it more intentionally as a strength. So it's that that's the part of it as a strength, and also just recognizing that maybe it's not your natural talent. That's why we need other people. That's why we have to leverage on our communities, our support groups, and it's something that could be a weakness in you. That's the good opportunity to really band together with other people so that you fill in each other's weaknesses and you become stronger as a collective unit, as a team. So that's one way of looking at it. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Marco. Definitely, like what Kimmy said, better together, and how you mentioned it too. Our differences are our advantages. So really, there's much benefit for everyone when we recognize what's our strength, when what's our weakness, and working together to make it even more beautiful as it is. Thank you very much, Marco. So to our audience and to everyone, let's give a warm round of applause for Marco Acevedo.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Marco. So, yeah. Again, hello to the audience. Good morning. And I am excited to share our next speaker for the day. So, this person is an abundance coach from Moment to Moment Stress Management Solutions. She is a registered psychometrician, a financial advisor, meditation and yoga teacher, advocating for the youth and practice of mindfulness and loving kindness integrated to your day-to-day routine. She's no other than my co-host, Kimmy Chua. So let's give a warm round of applause digitally for Kimmy Chua.
Thank you, Pat. Ayan. Hello, everyone. And as we go through this segment, no, it's going to be a bit of our stretching break as well. So we'll be resting our eyes, as we go through this. No, how can we care for our well-being through bayanihan? So we have a roadmap here, 3 C's. No, let's take a look at the next slide to see ano ba yan mga yan. No, what are these 3 words? So 3 C's of bayanihan would be compassion, connection, and community. So let's begin first with ourselves. No, starting with our breath, something that we all share throughout the world, whether we're from Asia, Antarctica, Europe, no matter where we are, no? Kaya nating huminga. Walang nagturo sa atin, and yet we know how to breathe. And so let's take a moment here to just take a quick literal breather. Right? I'll be guiding you through a breath awareness practice. So we're going to inhale for 4 counts and then exhale for 4 counts as well. So let's set up our posture, sitting up straight, and we will roll our shoulders together, rolling our shoulders forward, upward, and back, forward, upward, and back, reversing that, backward, upward, forward, backward, upward, forward. Great. Placing our hands on our lap, palms facing up. If you feel that you need more energy this morning, palms facing down for that sense of calmness. No? So you can keep your eyes open, half masked, so slightly closed, or closing your eyes altogether. Just taking a quick screen break, no? Screen time break. So at this point, we are going to inhale through the nose for 4 counts and then exhaling for 4 counts and just noticing how that feels. As we do this, thoughts may begin to arise, and that's perfectly fine. So we are going to start our compassion practice by saying hello to our thoughts, saying thank you to our thoughts for passing by, all right? And maybe parking them aside for a while and then bringing our attention back to the slow and steady breathing. Sabay-sabay tayo, breathing in through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Quick pause. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Quick pause. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, noticing how you're filling up the lungs or maybe even your belly area. And as you exhale, slowly letting go of the air, bringing it back to the environment. Changes ahead. I'll invite you to bring your hands up like this. If you're wearing earphones or headphones, you can take them out for a bit. We're going to cover our ears and listen to our breath for 3 rounds. Let's try that together and observe what our breath sounds like. Okay? So covering our ears, breathing in round 1. Exhaling. Round 2, inhale. And exhale. Round 3, breathing in. And breathing out. All right, slowly placing our hands back down, maybe wearing our earphones back if we remove them. Okay, so how did that feel for you? Maybe opening your eyes if they were closed. Feel free to share with us certain observations that you have from observing your breath. No? So taking a look at that and exploring that together. And this is something that can be automatic for us, no? Giving ourselves that chance, living in a fast-paced world, no? We can allow ourselves to take a breather, take that pause, and relax, no? So as we go on to our next way, no, of connecting into that compassion, let's see the next slide. We have here just that gentle sense of smile, all right? And that gentle or warm, welcoming smile. Diba? Especially here in the Philippines, something that other people would share about Filipinos, diba, would really be, we're warm and hospitable. Laging may ngiti, no? We smile through the challenges and things that are going on around us. And so that gesture of a smile gives us that sense of upliftment as well. No? So Amy Cuddy has done studies on this, the power pose, no, and the gentle nudges that we have with our movements signals to the brain that, hey, things might be going pretty well or things are under control. No? And one of the fastest ways to do that would be going through that breath practice, no? Slowing down our breathing. And so maybe we can do a quick facial muscle exercise together with that sense of giving ourselves that compassion, no? Looking at ourselves at the mirror, or maybe in front of a selfie camera, and giving ourselves that warm smile as we accept and become aware of our strengths, as we accept and become aware of the things going on, no? So let's try that 3 levels of smiling here. So level 1 of smile would be just smiling naturally with our lips closed, like this. And then we'll slowly dive into showing our teeth, cheeks puffing out. Yan, pang commercial ng paborito niyong toothpaste yan. Okay. And third level of smile, let's try to bring our eyebrows up and down, up and down, up and down, and flashing a wide smile. Ta-da! All right. And just noticing how that feels for us for this moment, creating that sense of openness for ourselves, no? So compassion begins with the self as well, no? Inside. And so let's take a look at the next slide, which reminds us also of the words that we use, no? So any plantitos and plantitas here, maybe some of you are fond of taking care of plants. Ayan. So we are reminded, no, through this experiment that they did in IKEA, wherein they took out 2 plants from their store, and then they put it in schools, no? So one plant, they recorded certain phrases like, hey, you're not good enough, ganyan, no? So binubully nila yung isang plant. While on the other hand, plant B, no, they were sharing compliments, no? I like you the way you are, you're flourishing. And they observed after 30 days, what do you think happened to the plant, right? So as we would infer, and it did happen, no? The plant that was complimented flourished, while the plant that was being bullied, right, was drooping, no? So same is with the words that we share, or the messages, or sometimes how we share to ourselves, no? Being mindful of that, becoming aware lang na, ano na ba yung sinasabi ko sa sarili ko? Am I being kind, or am I showing kindness to myself the way I'm showing others? Right? So that's compassion inward, no? And of course, also as we transition, no, and live our day-to-day, we are reminded that, so the next slide is, even if, no, there is that sense of pressure or element of a fast-paced world, or having to be productive all the time, no, we can remind ourselves that after all, we are human beings, diba? Di naman tayong tinawag na human doings. And so, how can we give ourselves that space to take a break, to take a breather, and to practice that pause, showing compassion to ourselves? And maybe when we take that pause, we are able to show up even more fully, right? So now, syempre, hindi tayo nag-iisa, diba? Sabi nga ni Lourdes kanina na well-being is starting from the individual and also a collective practice, no, that we can care for. And so we are now going into connection. So on the next slide, you'll see here, courtesy of Huli Bloom. So what is the importance of listening fully, no? Ano ba yung ibig sabihin when we are really listening? And what does it mean also when we are fully listening to ourselves as well and other people? So sabi nga nila, sometimes it's easier to share what our insights are, but what does it mean to fully listen, no, to someone, to ourselves? And so sometimes it would take that time, no, to slow down and give ourselves permission to, as Lourdes said, to feel and to slow down and to reflect, no? So connecting inward and of course with one another. Because sometimes when we support each other, right, all we need is someone to listen to us and listen to us fully, no? And that is what we're doing also here in our youth space, giving ourselves the opportunity to hear each other out and to listen fully. And on to the next slide, malayo, no, yung nararating ng ating pangangamusta, no? As simple as a message of how are you, kamusta ka, even if we don't respond kaagad, 'di ba? Pag natatanggap natin yung question na yan, it may feel reassuring that, and it keeps us connected to one another. And so that simple phrase, that simple question goes a long way. And so at this point, I encourage you to join us in this Reconnect Challenge. No? So on the next slide, I'll be inviting you to grab a sheet of paper and pen, or maybe on your device. Just think of one person who you would like to thank. Okay, yung isang tao na gusto mong pagpasalamatan, and be specific, no? Thank you for blank. Thank you, friend, for that one time na nakinig ka sa akin, ha? Or thank you, friend, sa pagkamusta mo. Or thank you, friend, for sharing those memes with me. And so, taking a moment to recognize and go into that sense of gratitude, no? And you'll be surprised, no? And there have been studies also that show that the practice of gratitude does not only make the person who receives the message of gratitude feel better, but also the person who shares or gives that message. All right? So taking a moment here to reconnect and write that note. And the bonus challenge there is to take a picture of that and send that to your loved one, to your friend. Okay? So not limited to one, but you can go on for more later on. And another quick way that we can connect with each other, so on the next slide we'll see, would be our laughter. Maybe this is something na minsan naririnig namin na parang nakakalimutan na nating tumawa. O kaya naman minsan sasabihin natin na itawa natin yan. So what is the importance of going back to these practices of laughter as well once in a while? And so sabi nga nila, laughter is the best medicine, but it can also be some sort of supplement or vitamins or a booster, because it naturally releases neurochemicals like serotonin and dopamine, even if we're just following certain cues, even if hindi talaga tayo natatawa from a certain joke. All right, so let's try a quick activity on laughter, just one type. All right, let's warm up by clapping together. Yes, it can heal a lot of hearts. Thank you, Derek, for sharing that. So let's clap together. It goes like this. Ha, 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 ha. So embodying that third level of smile, really flashing a wide smile and noticing how this makes you feel. All right. So let's try that together. Ready, set, go. Ha, 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 ha. Deep breaths here, breathing in and breathing out. Ha. Inhaling and exhaling. Next would be our freestyle type of laughter. So I'll encourage you to recall a moment that you felt light and joyful and happy. So magaan lang, and we will be laughing together for a few seconds. Maximum would be 20. All right, just to allow ourselves to feel and notice any shifts in the body. If there's none, that's perfectly fine as well. Okay, so let's try that together, bringing our hand towards our belly and noticing that this is also a form of exercise, moving our muscles, literally. Yan. So let's try this together. Ready, set, go. Breathing in and breathing out. Taking a moment to place one hand on top of the heart center, followed by the other hand, and maybe closing our eyes for a bit and just noticing how this feels for this moment. Recognizing na, okay, sa ngayon, ito yung nararamdaman ko, ito yung nararamdaman ko, ito yung napapansin ko. All right, breathing in and breathing out. All right, opening your eyes if they were closed. And so, as we continue to connect with each other, diba? Of course, something that we can connect to each other with would be moments of laughter, light moments as well. But of course, we can also explore. The next one is community. So as we go through these, no, knowing that we are all interconnected somehow, no, and with that laughter, no, as we mirror each other, as we have mirrored each other, no, we are sensing that sense of connectedness and forming a community together, no. So when we talk about community, we check in with the minor details and also a panoramic shot. So parang tinitingnan natin kung ano yung mga malapit sa akin. So becoming aware or focusing on, okay, this is what's going on. And also giving ourselves that space to step out naman and take action, no? So looking outside and having that panoramic shot, taking part as to how can we have our own, diba, mini steps and actions for the nation, for the environment, right? And the next is also, how can we work together? No? So paano nga ba tayo pwede magbayanihan? So it begins with that self-care, no? And when we are able to take care of ourselves, we are able to overflow and share that with the people around us, maximizing our strengths and working together, no? Para lang forming a puzzle. Takes patience, no? But it's something that's worthwhile, no? So indeed, we can see that on the next slide, we are stronger together. No, that more than ever, even if we're physically distant, it doesn't mean na kailangan na socially distant tayo in the sense na we're not parang checking up on each other anymore, no? So, yun, just taking a few moments, no, to hear each other out and be there for each other goes a long, long way. And so I'd like to share, no, this quote as for anything, no, with that, as we uplift each other, as simple as our smiles, as simple as even our silent presence, no, and the different ways, no, that we are able to support each other. May we remember this quote, no, from Suzuki Roshi: the most important thing is to remember the most important thing. And so may we remember that as we go through life and we may get busy, we may feel the pressure around us, no? Yes, first is really to recognize, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's going on. And then checking in, what's important for me now, no? Ano yung mahalaga para sa akin for now? It may change along the way. There may also be some that are constants, no? So with that, I would like to share also another quick challenge as we cap off the day. So we call it, on the next slide, Bayanihan Challenge, no? So YouthSpace edition. We encourage you to share to at least 3 friends, no, what you have learned from today and for tomorrow, so during this summit, and encourage them to share it as well, no? So in this manner, in our own way, we are able to create ripple effects, even if we don't see it right away, or even if we don't feel it right away, it is happening, no? So with that, thank you everyone, and for joining in this segment, no? At sabay-sabay tayo magbayanihan. Woohoo!
All right. Thank you so much, Coach Kimmy, for that. Ang daming daming mga exercises, whether it was the facial exercise or yung reconnection challenge or that bayanihan challenge. So thank you again, Coach Kimmy. I invite everyone to apply yung bayanihan challenge that Coach Kimmy mentioned. So it's 3 friends that you could share it with. So I'd like to invite you to really practice that one. So you could chat it in the comments below who you'd want to invite, or if you have questions, feel free to let us know in the comment section. Pero very important, no, that we really apply agad kung ano yung natutunan natin. So, yung bayanihan challenge na yan, whether it's your jowa, your asawa, or your friend, or anyone who you feel is dear to you, I invite you to share the lessons that you've learned. So we're seeing some comments here, no? We're seeing some thank yous. And si Reg Marie even reinforced this. What
Yes.
or who do you care for? Choose to value them every day. So I guess she was struck by the quote that you sent, Kimmy, yung to remember the most important thing, whether it's one thing that you
Mhm.
have to do or that person who you care for.
Yes.
So we're seeing some love being sent. Thank you. Derek says thank you.
Thank
Kim
you. Thank
Charles
you.
says thank you. Brenda Lynn says thank you. Ang dami nagpapa-thank you. Sangre, Jeng,
Thank you.
si Dresley, and si Diane.
At kung pwedeng magpahabol, no, with all the love, maybe we can try out this self-hug gesture, no. So, let's try this out. How you can do this? You can also do this during your meetings, no, or classes, if ever. We are going to stretch out our arms forward. Tapos parang if-frame natin siya sa box, as if giving each other a virtual hug. And then we're going to receive that hug as well by crisscrossing our arms and holding on to our upper arms or our shoulders, giving ourselves that gentle self-hug or receiving the hug from others as well. No? Virtual muna for now.
Virtual.
Ayan. So this is a quick exercise also that we can try out along the way. Woohoo! So
Feels warm.
uncrossing our arms. All right.
So we have a question, Kimmy, no?
Mhm.
Do you have advice for how we can help people who are going through tough times?
Mhm. So the number one there, no, step would be first to listen. No? So before even saying, I'm sure we have that eagerness within us, no, to be of help, to be able to share. Na yeah, when I experienced this, no. So the first step is to first listen, to pause and to listen actively, no, maintaining that sense of eye contact. Maybe if you're on a video call or on a video call looking towards the camera, it makes the person you're talking to feel like you're looking at them. Or maybe when you're on a phone call or voice call, yung mga cues natin na, I'm listening, no? Or maybe when we are chatting, yan, parang sometimes even echoing and listening first, no? Without and suspending that judgment as well, no? So it's that sense of acceptance. So accepting, okay, this is what's going on. And yes, it may be challenging, or yes, it may be something that you'd like to celebrate. And so recognizing, no, that experience could be different for each person talaga. And so finding the time or making that effort to validate the feelings of our friends, no, and reminding them also that we are there to listen to them. Yan.
Okay,
Yes, so
thanks.
na-echo din dito ni Miss Brenda, no, that the self-hug is something that she learned, no, in the past webinar, and it's good to do when you're feeling alone. Yeah, so it's something that you can do even on at your own pace or on your own time. Yeah, and giving ourselves that gentle boost. Yeah.
So we have another question, no? Daming phone in. So may class ba that teaches us how to laugh?
Ayan, so merong tinatawag na laughter yoga or laughter wellness. So basically, the way we naturally laugh, that's still the most natural type. No? So yes, there are classes naman that teaches us how to maximize and parang basically it's not that new, no? It's more of certain exercises that will emphasize certain types of laughter, and we're doing it together kasi. So the science behind that talaga is mirroring each other, no? Mirroring neurons yan eh. Na, di ba pag may nakita tayong nakasmile, parang we can't help but smile as well. Ayan. So yun yung beauty, no, of doing it together. And this is something you can do in your own homes with your barkada, no? Meron pang tinatawag din na parang telephone laughter, kung saan parang we'll imagine, or kung may kausap tayo sa phone, tatawa lang tayo, no? So giving ourselves permission to be childlike again through laughter.
Thank you, Kimmy. So I'll make sure to laugh not in a takeout place. Baka itangay ako. So we have another question. Okay ba ang fake smile / fake laugh? Hehe.
Mhm.
Ano ang effect niyan?
Yes, yes. So, the fake laughter or fake smile, no, at the start, even if it's fake, it still has the same effects, no, with a natural type of laughter, because we are able to those facial and muscle motions, no? Ano yan natatandaan yan ng body and ng mind natin. So, nare-register siya, nagsisend ng signals, no, back to the brain that, hey, things are going well, or things are probably, okay, yes, medyo turbulent siya, pero kakayanin natin to, no? So, yes, there has been research that shows that even if we imagine ourselves biting our pen or pencil like this, and keeping that gesture lang, no? Parang nakangiti tayo. Ayan. Keeping that for a few moments, maybe for your next presentation coming up or report or that call that you have to make, just staying there. Ayan. That will go a long, long way.
I will make sure to have a pen with me or my finger. Walang ball pen, basta malinis lang at all times.
Kahit imagine lang. Ayan.
So we have another question, Kimmy. So why is it important to show compassion to people we dislike?
And so, when it comes to showing compassion, no, we can also give ourselves that space. So sometimes we may not feel ready yet to show that sense of compassion. And so maybe we can take a moment to parang taking a step back, no, and seeing the situation parang in a panoramic or a wide lens or a wide view. And so parang that's the first step that I'm seeing, no. And then to the why naman, so there's this sense kasi of how somehow we are all interconnected, no? Kumbaga, kung ano yung sinasabi din natin sa ibang tao, right? Maybe trying to recall a moment kung saan nainis tayo, or maybe may nasabi tayo na shocks after a while, parang hindi ko yata dapat pala sinabi yon. Or maybe there's that kind of like pinch in our heart na, wait lang. No? So, as humans, no, we're also wired and meant to be social beings. And so even if, kasi yan, our emotions also are parang impermanent. And so with that sense of dislike, no, it's natural for us to also feel a bit maybe sometimes irritated or annoyed, or that sense of dislike, no? So recognizing that first, no? So the showing compassion to others maybe also begins with showing compassion to ourselves first. Kasi para lang siyang forgiveness, parang pag hindi tayo nag-let go pa or forgive, ang medyo nag-struggle doon is tayo rin. Parang wala naman yung effect doon sa person na, let's say, may nagawa o kaya naman may nasabi, no? Or so the effect is more of personal din, no? So giving ourselves that space and also that person, no? So hindi kailangan ora mismo, no, yung pag-forgive or pag-show ng compassion. We can also give ourselves that space. So which brings us then to setting healthy boundaries, no? Na how can we create that fine line between, okay, for now, ito muna, I will say no, no? And it doesn't mean naman na it's no forever, no? Pero for now, no muna. Or parang, hindi ko muna kayang kausapin tong person na to, so I will maybe take a moment to take a step back. And then, when I'm more ready na, then, baka pwede na, no? So, listening in then. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimmy, no? So it's a nice way of really beginning with the self first, no? Compassion towards oneself. Kasi I think we are overlooking that aspect. We think compassion is always extrinsic, meaning outwards. Pero minsan nakakaligtaan natin, bigyan ng compassion ng ating sarili. And we have another question from Reg. And I think si Coach Kimmy already addressed it, no? And just to flash the question, if you know someone hates or dislikes you, should we still form a connection with them? Or is this the time we should form boundaries?
So this is a case-to-case basis, to. So you know yourself best. And siguro I'll be sharing a few guide questions na lang that we can ask ourselves should we experience this, no? So maybe we can ask ourselves, number one, parang how immediate do I need to talk to this person? Or why is it that I would like to create that connection, no? And then stemming from that, then maybe checking in, is it time na gusto ko, parang medyo time sensitive siya, kailangan ma-rebuild ko na or ma-reconnect ko na ngayon. At the same time, we can also share that sense of time or space, no? Na, okay, for now, this is what's going on. Do I have that space within me to share some time, no? Or to share that sense of boundary muna for now, and then maybe I'll try again some other time, and then ask again those questions, no? So it's really a matter of sometimes, no, more than the head level, medyo pakiramdaman din siya, which is malakas yan dito sa atin in our, I don't know, in our country din, na sometimes it's also good to take that time to just rest and then pause and check in. What is my gut feel telling me? But of course, ano rin, medyo sasamahan din natin siya ng konting objectivity, no? So, medyo balancing act siya. Yun. So, but number one, parang also taking a moment to communicate and clarify. Baka naman hindi tayo hate or dislike nung person na yun. Baka naman, so if there is space na for conversation or communication, i-clear up din natin. Baka naman na-busy lang si friend o kaya naman may pinagdadaanan that time, no? Kaya ganun yung naging interaction.
Fantastic. So, in as much as we'd like to take in more questions, maybe we'll take in one last, if that's okay, Kimmy. So, for our last question from Charlene, how about people who are good at listening but they're having a hard time naman to speak their feelings?
So the first step here, no, is to not to rush it. Starting out siguro with a personal practice, maybe if you're comfortable to have your own journal, or parang diba, parang that's nice if it's a physical one as well. You know also that it's secure. If you're more apt for online, pwede rin yun, no? So taking a moment to have that safe space, no? And then also looking around you, sino ba yung mga tao na pakiramdam mo safe, no, to share with them, or you're comfortable to share with. And so it doesn't necessarily mean na parang kamag-anak natin or kabarkada ka agad, no? So it can be just checking in with yourself, for now, sino kaya yung comfortable ako to share this with? And the first person, no, we don't have to look far, no? Sabi nga ni Michael Jackson, the person on the mirror, no? Kasi, yeah, so maybe just recognizing first for ourselves, no? Na, hey, okay, this is what I'm feeling. And then maybe slowly, no, we are able to share that na rin with others. Kasi, yun, yung tinatawag natin parang mind dump or feelings dump, we can just write it down first, no? Some have different ways of expressing it. Pwedeng words, pwedeng mini doodles, or some even also explore other materials, no? So taking a moment, yan, to find outlets that we're most comfortable with, not having to rush.
Great. Not having to rush and finding your own outlet, no, that's closest to your heart. So thank you so much again, Coach Kimmy. So to our dear audience, let's give a warm round of applause for our sharer and speaker, Kimmy Chua.
Thank you, dear participants and Pat. And so we're excited, no? Wait, there's more. Woohoo! We're excited to introduce our next speaker who will be sharing with us, no, more about feeling unstuck. Ayan, share with us in the chat. Baka some of you here have been feeling this ba? Ayan. So I am honored to introduce our next speaker, who is also part of our organizing team, no? And together, no, let's welcome Albert Orr is co-founder of Pushpin Visual Solutions, helping nonprofits, foundations, and other cause-oriented organizations to communicate clearly and inspire action. He is also a certified action learning coach and strengths coach, helping teams learn how to work together while solving complex work problems. Albert is also an award-winning children's book and comic book author, a father to Oliver and Zoe, and husband to fellow artist Laura Elena. Let us all welcome, with a round of applause, virtual for now, woohoo, Albert Orr.
Thank you, Kimmy. So I'm Albert Orr, and I am a visual communicator, a husband, a father a coach, an educator, an author, and occasionally on days like today, a public speaker. And for the longest time, alam ko exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And at the same time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So, sure ako, pero hindi ako sure. And I understand that might be a bit confusing, pero let's move to the next slide and I'll try and share with you exactly why. Kasi, I grew up in a very confusing environment. Lahat ng nababasa ko, napapanood sa TV, pati yung natuturo sa eskwela, they all kept telling me to follow my passions, to follow my heart. And what my heart was telling me was that when I grew up, I wanted to be an artist or a teacher. Gusto ko mag-drawing, gusto ko magturo. Right? I wanted to follow my heart. Listen daw to your heart song. But when the bell rings, my teachers kept telling me, huwag daw mag-drawing during class. Like in the next slide, this is exactly like the drawing that you see on my slide right now. That's exactly who I am. Right? My teachers would keep telling me, huwag daw mag-drawing during class. My elders would keep telling me, anak naman, mag-aambisyon ka lang, hindi pa talaga yung pampayaman. Diba? Teacher tsaka artist, di ba? Sana yung pampayaman, like doctor or lawyer. Right? So, as I went into college, I didn't follow my heart. I followed what was uso at the time and enrolled in an engineering course that I didn't pursue as a career after graduation anyway. I ended up becoming exactly what I wanted to be, which is a teacher, a trainer and a coach, and an artist, an illustrator. So as you'll see in the next slide, despite the fact that I became exactly what I wanted to be, I still spent years wandering, like, what am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to be? Like, I knew I was drawing. I knew I was teaching. I followed my heart. I'm living my dream. I worked in publishing and then in advertising. I became a children's book and a comic book artist. I got published in newspapers and magazines and even became a principal of an art school. And now I'm running my own design and communication studios, Pushpin Visuals. I even won some awards along the way, right? So that was me being an artist. And I even got to teach college students for 10 years. I went into corporate training. I'm a globally certified coach. These are all like ways in which I'm able to practice my teaching. So I was an artist and a teacher. Hindi siya artist or teacher. I got to be both. I'm still both. And yet, many days, life still feels like running on a treadmill. Like all the effort without the movement. Or, maybe it would be more accurate to say that there was movement, pero no direction, right? I was feeling a bit stuck, right? Parang walang patutunguhan. And what eventually helped me was when I stopped asking myself, what do I want to do? And instead, I started asking myself, why? Right? Why do I do what I do? Why did I want to become an artist or a teacher in the first place? And after a lot of thinking and overthinking, I realized a few things. Number one, that my why is rooted in the moments in my past that made me who I was. Growing up, lagi akong sinasabihan, ang dami mong tanong, wag kang makulit na bata. Just do what we say because we're the adults, right? Do as you're told na lang. Sumunod ka na lang. And it felt frustrating kasi minsan tinatanong ko, gusto ko malaman, why do I have to do this? Diba? Why do we have to follow instructions, right? It felt frustrating because I wasn't allowed to ask questions, nor was I being offered any answers, right? Like the worst talaga na nakaka-trigger sa akin yung pag sinasabihan akong because I said so, right? And yet, the few times that someone took the time and effort to explain things to me, I would get these aha moments, yung feeling of enlightenment that felt really good to me. It lit up my day and excited me to learn something new. And literally, napapaliwanagan ako, right? And this is, as I look back on the moments in my past that were influencing who I am today, these were the seeds that eventually blossomed into my why. Yung what I believe is my purpose in life. Gusto ko yung nare-recreate ko yung feeling na yun para sa ibang tao. Yung moment of clarity, that aha moment that would light up their lives. And that was my realization number 1. My realization number 2 was that my why is an ongoing process. It's not something that I arrived at overnight, but is something that took time and a lot of reflection. And it's something that I continue to revisit and fine-tune to this day. But taking the time to think on this is something that I find very helpful because it helps me to discern what to say yes to and what to say no to. Is it aligned to my purpose, for example? Does it help me to fulfill it? Kasi kung hindi, no thanks, right? Knowing my purpose is more than just knowing what I should pursue as a career. It's also about knowing where I can find the most fulfillment, regardless of what career I end up pursuing. My third realization was that my why goes beyond passion. Pursuing your passion, in some ways, can be selfish. Kasi it focuses on what you're interested in. It focuses on what you like and what you're good at. For example, I'm passionate about singing karaoke, pero I don't know that it will satisfy anyone but myself, right? Kawawa naman mga tenga ninyo. So passion can be selfish. It can only get me so far kasi passion fades. Passion burns out. Right? Nauubos yun eh, yung initial burst of energy. And when that happens, when the passion runs out, when it fades, I have to rely on willpower to push myself to get things done. And honestly, parang just like passion, nauubos din yung willpower ko. I'm sure nauubos rin yung willpower ninyo, right? Anyway, so passion is inward. But purpose, on the other hand, is passion directed towards other people. It's about what impact you make for others. Purpose gives your passion direction and velocity as you channel your energies out towards other people, and it imagines a before and after and makes use of your God-given talents in order to make change happen. And I found that when I pay attention to why I'm excited about a project and who will benefit from it, I find myself naturally pulled into it by intrinsic motivation. It's an endlessly renewable source of energy. Now, as you'll see in my next slide, this is something I do still get days, especially during pandemic. It especially doesn't help when I see people on my social media posting photos na, meron na silang home-based food business, marunong na sila mag-bake, marunong sila gumawa ng dalgona coffee. Ba't may oras silang maging barista, right? Bakit si Taylor Swift kaya niya maglabas ng 2-3 albums during a pandemic? Why are my friends able to finish yet another Coursera, Udemy certification course? Ako nga, I can barely finish reading yung BuzzFeed article na 2 linggo na nasa open tab sa browser ko. Right? Ba't sila kaya nilang gawin yun? Pero sabi nga ni Marco, earlier he was talking about not comparing yourself to others. And, when it happens to me and if it happens to you, when we find it hard to motivate ourselves to get up in the morning and get ready for school or work, I want to suggest that we all take the time to go back to basics. The question we should be asking may just be, it's not how can we be more productive, it's why do we want to be more productive? Hindi siya, how can I get unstuck? Pero Why do we want to get unstuck? And when we focus on fulfilling our purpose, maybe we're less inclined to compare ourselves to others because it becomes less about us and more about the people we're trying to help. So here then, I want to share with you some tips to help you discover your whys, to nudge you out of yourself and move towards your own purpose. The first is I want to invite you to think back to the moments that helped shape who you are. Which memories stand out? When you think back, who are the most influential people in your life and why? What recent experiences did you love being a part of? Maybe it's a project that you worked on with your classmates or with your friends, right? And then as you think of these stories, what patterns and recurring themes come up? Share it with people who really know you. Do they see the way you see yourself? Do they see you the way you see yourself? Your purpose is often rooted in the moments of your past that make you who you are today. And when you think about that, I want to just stress that you don't find your purpose as if it was something that's missing or naligaw, right? Your purpose is right there inside of you already, and it's just waiting to be discovered so that it can say, hello, nice to meet you, right? The second tip I want to share with you is, discovering your purpose is an ongoing process, like I said. So give yourself time to check in on yourself and reflect on your experiences. There are many things that distract us. Yung Netflix watch list na yan, it's not gonna watch itself, right? You're gonna want to watch it. But purpose drives each and every one of us, and it's at the core of our being. And especially during times of great uncertainty like this, it's very important that we are sure about ourselves, our sense of identity, our sense of purpose. So allow yourself the space to reflect on why you do what you do. And number 3, go beyond your passion, right? Passion is fine on its own. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's also just as critical that we find value in the work that we do, that we understand why we do it, that the work has to be personally interesting and socially meaningful. And a good place to start is, like it says on my slide, follow your heart. But I would invite you to not just follow your heart to the space of your hobbies and interests, right? I want to invite you to go beyond that and follow it towards the pains of the world that compel you to action. Ano yung mga problema sa mundo na nagpapakirot ng puso ninyo? Right? Some people care about animals, some people care about the environment, some people care about gender equality, women's rights, some care about people that they only know and that they're close to, and that's perfectly fine, right? You want to ask yourself, what are the challenges that they face and how can you make their lives better? Because that seed of discontent, yung nararamdaman ninyo na merong something that's not entirely right in the world, that seed of discontent was planted in your heart so that you can pour your unique perspective and talents and strengths into it. Purpose is passion directed outward. It brings you out of yourself and into a bigger world. It helps you become part of something larger than yourself. So follow your heart towards the spaces that will move you to action. Now, I just want to say one last thing about purpose, which is that don't ignore ambition or discontent. Kasi minsan, people will tell you, just be thankful with what you have. You have your health, you have your life, di ba? Don't let people gratitude shame you into complacency. Purpose is what will give you fulfillment. And that's the wellspring of gratitude. So yes, if you follow your purpose, you will feel thankful. You will feel gratitude. But you can feel fulfilled and still feel like there's something missing, right? You can feel fulfilled and still feel like there's something more that you need to aspire for, right? Hindi sila mutually exclusive. Just because you're thankful doesn't mean you can't want more, right? Fulfillment and gratitude will give you sustainable happiness. Hindi siya panandalian. But ambition and discontent will push you to be better and do more. Pag walang gratitude, you'll be driven to achieve, but you won't feel happy. On the flip side, without ambition and discontent, you'll be happy, but you'll be complacent. Purpose makes space for both. Be happy with where you are and what we have, but there is much that we can do to make ourselves better so that we can grow and scale our impact and help make the world a better place. So I want to invite you to make space for both gratitude and discontent so that we can be more and do more. And as I close, I just want to introduce myself again. I am Albert Orr, and I create spaces of clarity so that people can see and be their best selves as they make their positive impact on the world. This is my purpose statement. And in order to fulfill this purpose, I am a visual communicator, a husband, a father, a coach, an educator, an author, a public speaker, and so much more. It is nice to meet you all. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Albert. What a fantastic way to take a careful look at passion versus purpose. Or is it passion versus purpose? Or passion and purpose? So there are a lot of misconceptions, and even ako, ang daming namulat ang aking mata sa passion and purpose. Because it's a, people interchangeably use it, and it's nice that there's so much clarity with this one. So yeah, we'll entertain some questions if you guys have in the comments. Feel free to put them in below. But Kimmy, maybe you'd like to share your favorite moment dun sa speaker natin.
I appreciate yung moment na really invitation to go back to basics and asking instead of what, parang what's going on, like the why is it that I'd like to get unstuck, no? So I think that's something na I will definitely reflect on, and parang anchor talaga siya, no? So thank you for that question, Albert. We have here from Derek, no? Let's share the question. How can we learn contentment?
All right. Thank you for the question. I want to say that contentment really comes from recognizing that there are things that you've been doing that are aligned to your purpose. And I think that's why it's very important na bakit ko nga ba ginagawa yung mga ginagawa ko? Right? And purpose doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be like, I want to save the world. Pero even in your own small ways, like when I said, for example, that my purpose is, I want to create spaces of clarity. Even when I'm not doing things like, speaking in a public event like this, even when it's just working with my team, tapos hindi sila nagkakaroon ng agreement, yung nagbabangayan na yung mga magkaibigan, and if I'm able to help them see each other's perspectives and come to an agreement, for me, that's a good day na. That's where I get my energy from. Kasi alam ko na fulfill ko yung purpose ko, even at that small scale. And at the same time, like I said, it pushes me to do more. Like I am, I keep telling Sina Patrick na I am highly introverted and very shy and I don't like speaking in public. And yet I do things like this because, at the end of the day, again, this is what, it's the knowledge and the clarity na alam ko ito yung purpose ko in life. And that's what pushes me out of my comfort zone and try to actually say yes to doing things like this. And that's where the contentment comes from. Even if hindi ko ma-achieve yung goal ko for the year. Like, kunwari, goal ko for the year is gusto kong maka-affect ng lives ng 2,000 people. Even if I fall short of that goal, it's okay, because as long as the things that I did are aligned to my goal, I know that it's helping me move closer and closer to whatever goals I set for myself. Alam ko that this is all part of the growth, and it's all part of the journey that I'm on. Right? So yun, in small and good ways, the contentment comes from knowing that I'm aligned to my purpose. On the flip side, yung sinasabi natin, yung paano yung discontent, right? Whether big or small things, yun, di ba, minsan meron tayong resistances, right? Yung may papagawa si Kimi sa akin, pero like begrudgingly, ayoko talaga. Yung bibigyan niya ako ng homework on a Friday afternoon, tas kailangan ko i-submit by Monday morning, tapos ang ganda pa ng ngiti ni Kimi, sabi niya, alam kong Friday na, so weekend na. So take your time, like take your time. Basta Monday morning mo na lang bigay sa akin. Monday morning, kailan ko pa gagawin yan? So wala na akong weekend. Yung that inner resistance is actually your inner compass telling you that even that small gesture does not align with your purpose, right? Baka hindi kasi importante kay Kimi yung weekends. Wala siyang concept of weekends. Hindi natin alam. Pero sa akin, importante yung weekends. So how do I manage that discontent? Part of that is acknowledging that, hindi ka suwail, right? Hindi ka disobedient. That possibly the disobedience comes from a misalignment of your expectations and purpose with what is being asked of you. So then, sure, you can still do it, but take the opportunity as well to try and engage in a conversation. Na, Kimi, if you want to bring out the best in me, Friday afternoon assignments is not it, because I want to have my weekends to recharge. Pero kung gusto mo ng Monday morning, tapos kailangan mo siya Monday afternoon, game ako dyan. Kasi kaya ko yun. Pag work mode ako talaga. Right? So those are the kinds of conversations that you want to have. Whether it's with your friends, bakit ba laging late si Patrick sa mga usapan natin? Kasi meron siyang mga responsibilities to family, and maybe he just needs to let us know about it. Whether it is with family, especially ngayon na our family members are either working from home or also studying at home, tapos lahat kayo nagsha-share in that small space, you have to tell them that just because I'm at home doesn't mean I'm always available. So what are the boundaries that you need to set? How do you navigate those? How do you communicate those boundaries to them? So those are the spaces where even in small ways and then later in big ways, you can align your life to your purpose and find more contentment knowing that everything is in its right place. Ayan.
Fantastic. Thanks, Albert. So we are drilling into passion purpose even further. So we have a question from Kay Covita. So hi, Kay from RC Makati Legazpi. My question is, since passion and purpose is not mutually exclusive, what if you have to choose between the two? Working on your passion or working on your purpose?
Ay, ang ganda. Yes, they're not necessarily the same thing. And yes, pwede mo silang ipaghiwalay. But I find that when you are aligned to your purpose, you become passionate about the things that you're doing as well. In the same way na when you meet someone new, tapos the more you know each other, the more that bond develops. As long as it is aligned to your strengths, yung hindi ka pinipilit mag-math kung hindi ka naman math person, if it's aligned to your strengths, if it's within the general vicinity of your capability, I find that the more you know about something, passion comes from it rin. As long as you're aligned to purpose. And so I would also say that even though they're two different things and that we should be careful not to use them interchangeably, I find that passion can spring from purpose. And on the flip side, it's much harder to find purpose if you're starting from passion. It's not impossible, but it's just a bit more challenging because it doesn't naturally spring from it.
So essentially, parang passion would be like the sign towards where the passion exactly is, no? So you really have to, I guess, take on the journey of exploring, because you can't, no one can do the push-ups for you. In other
Yeah.
words,
So the way I think about it sometimes is passion is the first starting point eh. Ito ikaw eh, right? And then purpose is really pag binigyan mo ng direksyon yung passion mo, that's where you start, 'di ba? Parang fulfilling that purpose. Purpose is that clear direction eh. Yun yung ways ng buhay mo eh. It'll help you get to where you need to be. So yes, as at the start, especially when you're kids or when you have kids, just expose them to as many different things as possible. See what kinds of tasks, activities, subject areas that they can become passionate about. And then as they grow older, you want to start asking them why. What is it about this task that you like a lot? What is it about this particular subject matter that really interests you, right? And those are the telltale signs that kind of help you triangulate ano ba yung purpose na na-plant sa heart ko, that I can live out more intentionally moving forward.
thank you, Albert. So I think we can accommodate one last question. So, question for Albert: what about passion fatigue?
Ayan. So that's exactly what I was saying, di ba? Passion burns out. If you've ever been in a romantic relationship, at some point, passion burns out and you have to just like the person for who they are. It's the same with people. It's the same with tasks. It's the same with your skill sets. I can tell you, for example, that I am passionate about drawing, which is something I really like doing. I like drawing. When people ask me what work do you do, I say I'm an artist. I draw for a living. When they ask me ano yung hobbies mo, I draw for fun. So parang it's the same thing, right? But because I do the same thing for both work and fun, sometimes nakakasawa rin siya. And so that's why I also say, you have to have other things. You can be passionate about more than one thing, and at the same time, your passions don't all have to feed into your purpose. So when you run out of passion for one thing, hopefully there are other things that can energize you. There are other activities. Tara, video ke tayo. Game ako dyan. Never akong humihindi dyan. At the same time, if you're really worried about passion fatigue, I would say then that's exactly the time when you want to get back in touch with your purpose. Yung mga times na pagod ka na, sawang-sawa ka na sa ginagawa mo, why do I still have to do this day in and day out? Is exactly the time that you start like following that question to where it may lead you, right? Bakit nga ba? Ba't ako nagsasawa? What are the things that I would be energized with? Where can I find that energy ulit? And again, I think it really still goes back to when you align yourself to purpose, it will become that renewable source of energy for you and your life.
I love how it's renewable, no? Na talagang nandyan na yan. Once we get to parang align, and it's a constant journey din, no? Staying aligned and checking in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, Kimi, for example, that I used to be very passionate about cargo pants. Kasi pants siya na may maraming bulsa. Like, passion ko yun, pero naubos yung passion ko. Like, passion fatigue ako. So passion will really run out. At some point, even whether you like it, no matter how much you like it, at some point, that'll fade away. And there has to be something else that will maintain your interest in it. For people, thankfully, your friends, kahit hindi ka na passionate about them, you still kind of hopefully like them, diba? But with the things that you do in life, one of the surest ways that you can maintain your energy, your interest, your motivation is whether that passion is aligned to your purpose.
All right. Thank you very much, Albert. And I didn't know cargo pants was your passion, while mine was elephant pants back in the day. So thank you again, Albert. So to our dear audience, let's give a warm round of applause for Albert Orr.
Woohoo.
All right. So, it is my joy, Kimi, to introduce the
Yes.
next speaker. Dr. Caris Diana Drilon Dalman, better known as Doc Candy by colleagues and patients, is a functional and integrative medicine physician, as well as a licensed medical acupuncturist. She completed her medical degree and master's in business administration from the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health in 2012. She then took up training in acupuncture from La Consolacion College while working as part of the medical team in the farm at San Benito. After completing her acupuncture training in 2014, she co-founded Centro Holistico, where she is currently the medical director. She completed her training in functional medicine from the Institute of Functional Medicine in the United States. The main focus of her practice is reversing chronic diseases by bringing back the proper function of the body through holistic programs with proper diet, nutrition, lifestyle choices as the main backbone. Without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Candy Drilon Dalman.
Hello everyone, good morning. Sorry, naka-mute pala yung mic ko. Hi, I'm Dr. Candy and I'm so honored to be here today. So my presentation or my lecture is gonna be a bit madaming information. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to leave them in the comment section. Okay, so again, my talk for today is all about food. And this is actually one of my favorite topics, food, because we all have to eat on a daily basis. I mean, we have to eat to survive. Now, there is such a thing as, eating for a healthier body, but today we will be very specific on what is the connection exactly of food and our mood. So next slide, please. So as Patrick kanina introduced me, I am one of the owners and I operate out of Centro Holistico. So we have branches in Alabang, Pasig, and Quezon City, and I'm working there as a medical director and consultant. So I work with different people. Actually, I work with other doctors, counselors, and other healthcare professionals from other groups. So our practice is very multifunctional, very dynamic. So we work a lot with coaches, etc. Next slide, please. So first, let's go to what exactly is mood. Okay, now we're always gonna hear people, for example, if you have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, wife, husband, at one point, sasabihin ka, ba't ang moody mo today? Ano bang mood mo? Okay, bakit bad trip ka? So, a mood, by strict definition, is a pervasive, sustained emotion that, when extreme, can color one's whole view of life. So in a day, we can go through ups and downs in our mood. But if that specific mood lasts for more than 24 hours, 48 hours, and then it actually colors or it changes the way that you view your life, or it affects your decision-making skills, that is when it becomes either a disorder, or sometimes it's not yet a disorder, but it's getting there already. So when it comes to mood disorders, it's already a psychiatric condition that's characterized by ongoing mood regulation problems. So for example, you're already in an environment that is very happy, but your general mood is still very sad. That's already considered a disorder. Next slide, please. Now, when it comes to mood, there are actually several causes when it comes to mood disorders. So what some of the possible factors are hormonal imbalance. Now, you'll notice those who live with females in the house, this actually, throughout our month, pwedeng iba-iba yung mood namin. So hindi po dahil may problema kami sa, it's not really sometimes a psychiatric condition, but sometimes it's really more because of our ups and downs when it comes to our hormones. So I'll explain more of that later. But when it comes to hormonal imbalance, that's when that actually affects our moods significantly. If masyadong up and down yung mood natin, that's when it becomes a problem. So some of the causes are fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, which is because it's part of our endocrine system. Once one part of the endocrine system is already affected, it affects the entire thing, even our sex hormones, the hormones that affect our cycles for women, ganyan. So it affects that one. Improper detoxification of hormones. So once we use up our hormones, we have to be able to remove it from our body through our natural detoxification process. But if our detox organs have problems, hindi yan na nalalabas to sa katawan natin properly, we get issues with that. And of course, nutritional wise, if we have some nutritional imbalances or food sensitivities, we're malnourished, we don't have enough of the nutrients, that's when we start getting issues when it comes to the mood. Some of the other causes are infections, autoimmune diseases, and inflammation. Next slide, please. So when it comes to hormones and the mood, if you look at this chart, are actually our hormones, like for example, estrogen, directly affects the serotonin levels in our body. When we have too much estrogen, sinusundan niya na serotonin, tataas din siya. Now, to say that if it goes down, our serotonin goes too low or our estrogen goes too low, babagsak din siya. So, magkasunod silang dalawa. So, if you're having hormonal imbalances, if you have too little estrogen, our moods usually are too bagsak, masyadong depressed na yung pakiramdam natin. And if it's too high, we can have naman parang mania, parang lagi ka nalang masaya, which is also can be considered a disorder. So we have to make sure that our hormones are balanced to make sure that our neurotransmitters are also balanced. And our neurotransmitters also very much affect our mood. Next slide, please. So when it comes to the hormones, our goal is really to create the hormones. So we have to make sure we're eating so that we have enough amino acids, proteins, and micronutrients to create these hormones and neurotransmitters. We have to make sure that they are balanced, and we have to make sure that our bodies are able to detoxify them. Next slide, please. Now, one very important thing to remember is that our gut actually creates at least 75% of our neurotransmitters. So majority of the neurotransmitters come from our gut. Now we have a wide range of neurotransmitters in our body. You have the serotonin, the dopamine, norepinephrine, etc. Now 95% of our serotonin is actually produced in the gut. So if our gut, our gastrointestinal system is not healthy, our colon and our small intestines are not healthy, paano tayo makaka-produce ng mga neurotransmitters na ito? So every time we ask our patient comes to us as saying, Doctor, I'm developing anxiety. Doctor, I've been diagnosed with depression or bipolar disorder. Number one question is, how is your number one, bowel movement? How are you pooping? How are you digesting your food properly? We ask a lot of questions regarding the gastrointestinal system because it is really directly related to mood disorders. And of course, our gut is also connected to our brain via the vagus nerve. So that's how they relate to each other. So pag may mga nararamdaman ko, ay parang yung tiyan ko, parang we get butterflies in our stomach whenever we get nervous or pag nakita natin yung crush natin. It's not actually just psychological. It's really because it has a connection. Next slide, please. Now, when it comes to the health of our gut, we have to make sure that they are perfectly healthy, and we have to make sure that the cells are healthy. Why is that? Whenever our cells become unhealthy, we develop what we call a leaky gut. And when we get a leaky gut, hindi natin na-absorb the nutrients that we're supposed to absorb. Now, at the same time, when we get candida overgrowth or yeast overgrowth, it creates a lining in the intestinal tract. Therefore, our guts are not able to absorb or produce the serotonin that we need. So this is also one of the things that we look at when it comes to diagnosing and managing our patients that have depression or any other mood disorders. Next slide, please. Now, when it comes to mood, there are several steps that we have to do. Now, the 7 steps are to optimize your nutrition, balance our hormones, cool off inflammation, fix the digestion, enhance detoxification, boost your energy metabolism, and calm the mind. Now, out of the 7, 6 are actually directly related to the food that you eat. The food that we eat, of course, it will optimize our nutrition. It will help balance our hormones by taking in the right types of food. It will help reduce our inflammation in the body, fix your digestion, etc., etc. So out of everything, food really is one of the mainstays when it comes to improving our mood and making sure that we're actually producing these neurotransmitters in our brains, so that we'll be able to have a proper mood all throughout. Next slide, please. Now, what nutrients does our brain need? There are several. So when it comes to the macronutrients, it needs everything. It needs your carbs, your proteins, and your fats. So you have to make sure that you get these in your diet. So your carbohydrates actually is the number one energy source of our brain. So you have to make sure you get enough of your carbs all throughout the day. Now, we also need your proteins because your brain needs to build the neurotransmitters, and dun nang gagaling yung neurotransmitters natin that comes from your proteins. And your fats, actually, remember, your brains are actually made up of fats. So you have to have enough fats in your diet as well to help protect your brains, and at the same time to provide your brain with the fuel to produce these neurotransmitters. Nanggagaling din sa fats yung neurotransmitters natin. Now, yung usually nakakalimutan natin to take into consideration when it comes to diet, usually just count our macros, diba? But you also have to make sure that you have to count, or you have to make sure you get your micronutrients in. Why? Because your vitamins and your minerals are the ones that optimize brain function, and it actually are the drivers when it comes to these biochemical processes. For you to be able to create these neurotransmitters, for these compounds to become neurotransmitters, you actually need more vitamins and minerals para ma-drive yung process. We call these the catalysts of the chemical processes. Next slide, please. So, example, how serotonin is made. So, you need, if you'll notice, from tryptophan to become 5-HTP and then to become serotonin, you have a lot of essential nutrients needed. So, for example, you don't eat gulay. You don't eat let's say you don't have your oranges in a day. Paano ka magkakaroon ng vitamin B6, B3, zinc, folate, and magnesium? You can get these from your meats, from your protein, but only at small amounts. You really need to have that as a supplement or in the food that you eat, so in terms of fruits and vegetables. Okay, next slide, please. Now, let's go first to the things that you should avoid or very, very minimize as much as possible. So, ano yung mga tatanggalin sa diet or babawasan natin sa diet? Next slide, please. Now, number 1 is the sugars. And hindi lang diabetic ang tinatanggalan natin ng sugar. Kailangan, in general, we have to minimize our refined carbohydrates and sugars. Why is that? Sugars instantly trigger serotonin release. So, parang feeling natin, pag kumain tayo ng asukal, ang saya-saya natin kaagad. Okay? It's not just because we love sugar. It's really because it triggers the serotonin to be released in our brains. So, there is science behind it. It's not, and those who are actually addicted to sugar, it's really because of this. When you're constantly taking in refined sugars or a high sugar or high carbohydrate diet, we feel good. And then, kapag biglang tinanggal siya, para tayo nagwi-withdrawal. Okay, so we really have to make sure that we are able to reduce our sugar intake so that we don't get those spikes. Okay, and then next thing you know, we're so dependent on sugar just to get that serotonin release. Now, at the same time, it causes a lot of inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. It causes candida overgrowth in the gut and low energy levels when we do not have sugar in our diet. So again, we don't want to be dependent on the sugar for us to get the energy levels. Why is this? Because nakakataba po ang too much sugar, and at the same time, it makes us lose a lot of our essential nutrients in the body. Now, it also includes mga artificial sweeteners. We want to remove these kasi ibang usapan naman to when it comes to artificial sweeteners. It also affects the detoxification of the body. Okay, next slide, please. Now, when it comes to processed and preserved food items, it causes a lot of inflammation because the preservatives in their food is not naturally occurring dun sa mga kinakain natin. It's added to the food that we eat so that they will last longer. The problem with that is it takes up so much energy for our detox organs to release this from our body. So yung mga dapat tanggalin nila sa katawan, like for example, our used hormones, hindi nila napaprocess properly. So as much as possible, we want to remove these food items, yung mga unnecessary. So eat whole foods. Okay, next slide, please. Again, same thing with the process. So same siya with the processed foods. Yung mga non-organic meats natin are really bombarded with a lot of steroids, a lot of antibiotics as well to make it palatable or to make sure na, kumbaga, when it comes to farming, it's an easier way to do it. Okay. However, these antibiotics and these feeds, whatever our cows and our pigs and everything, our chickens eat, we also eat. So it gets stuck in their fats and in their muscles. So when they give the animals antibiotics, we also eat them. So what happens is, nagkakaroon ng imbalances in the gut flora because namamatay yung mga good bacteria and then nagpo-flourish yung mga bad bacteria, etc., etc. So as much as possible, let's go for the organic meats or the naturally raised meats. Next, please. Next slide. Now, when it comes to alcohol, I'm a wine drinker myself, and I noticed this on a personal level. Whenever I drink alcohol, the next day, bagsak na bagsak yung mood ko. Kahit ang saya-saya the night before, the next day, bagsak na bagsak yung mood. Now, before I knew about this, nagtataka ko bakit ganon. Do I have a mood disorder? Not really. It's really because alcoholic drinks reduces serotonin levels. During hindi mo siya mapapansin eh. Kasi if you're medyo lasing na, hindi mo siya mapapansin, parang masaya ka lang. But the next day, you will notice that your mood will be very, very low because it reduces serotonin levels. So if you're going to drink, don't drink on a daily basis, or as much as possible, you just have to control the level of alcohol that you're taking in. 1 to 2 servings of red wine a week is fine. If you like having it with your dinner, 1 glass is already enough, not the tall glass, the wine glass, and then may serving yan, like only 1/3 of your wine glass. Don't overdrink your alcohol. Next slide, please. Again, now naman itong mga margarine and other butter-like substances, not the naturally occurring butters, ha? Iba yung butter sa margarine. So yung margarine na gustong-gusto natin dinalagay sa tinapay or sa kanin natin ng mga bata tayo. It's produced using fats that increase inflammation. It's actually produced from but mas madami yung omega-6 as compared to omega-3s. So when you have too much omega-6s in the body, it causes a lot of inflammation. It blocks out the anti-inflammatory effect of our omega-3. So we want to avoid those as well. Next slide. Okay, coffee. Too much coffee is not good because it can also affect our hormones and neurotransmitter function. So para yung effect niya, para sa sugar, not as severe, but it can, parang ganun din yung effect niya. So the most that I allow my patients to drink is around 2 cups of coffee, not mug ha, regular coffee, around 200 ml per serving, maximum of 2 in a day. So yung iba, mas sensitive sa coffee, so I allow at least maximum of one serving in a day. But at the most, 2 is enough, or else it will start affecting your hormones and neurotransmitter functions. Okay, next slide, please. Now, what should I eat? In general, you have to go for real food, real whole foods. Every time that people ask me, when I go to the grocery, ano yung mga pwede kong bilhin? So in general, you go for the food items that are not processed, do not have added ingredients, not walang preservatives, and as much as possible, walang sugar, walang added sugar. I'm not saying that let's not have desserts or let's not have sugar in our lives. Sometimes it's okay to have a little bit of a treat. But as much as possible, baseline natin, walang sugar sa mga kinakain natin. So that we can just add a little bit, let's say, to our coffee, or have that small bar of chocolate. But in general, eat whole foods, eat real food. Kapag galing siya sa hayop, okay, so ito yung general example. When my patients ask, what can I have for breakfast? I always tell them, instead of having luncheon meat, muntik na ako magsabi ng brand, if instead of having luncheon meat, you can have steak instead. Because we know that steak, galing siya talaga sa baka. Kitang-kita mo pa na baka siya, as compared to the luncheon meat, we don't know what are the other added ingredients. So when you look at the package, for example, you're gonna get something canned, you look at the canned food. Kung hindi mo na maintindihan sa dami ng mga ingredients, kung ano yung main ingredient dyan, it's better not to have that. Okay, so next slide, please. So these are some general recommendations on what you have to have in your diet. Okay, next slide. There. Healthy fats. So as mentioned earlier, the healthy fats, our brains are made up of fats, so it's good to have the fats in our diet for neuroregeneration. At the same time, it also helps absorb the vitamins and the minerals that we need. So we have the fat soluble vitamins, which are A, D, E, and K, which are essential for our neurotransmitters, and it also helps prevent free radical damage. So where do you get these? Your avocados, grass-fed butter, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, etc. And our nuts also are very good sources of healthy fats. Next slide, please. Omega-3 rich food, so which is also which can be found in your fats. So brain lipids are composed mostly of fatty acids, so which belong to the 30% belong to the omega-3 family. So again, we need this for healthy neuroregeneration. It promotes communications processes and reduces inflammation. So where do you get this? Usually from your fish, raw nuts, chia seeds, super popular, and it's cheap, and you can get it in almost any grocery store right now. Next slide, please. Lean protein. Now we emphasize on the lean more because so that you'll be able to control the fat intake. Too much fat also is not so good. So I usually recommend fats to be composed of around 20% of your total caloric intake. If you're going on another type of diet, your doctor will be able, or your nutritionist will be able to guide you when it comes to that. You can go up to, let's say, 30, 40, 50%, depends on your diet. Now when it comes to lean protein, you need it because you need your amino acids to make sure that you get your proper hormones and your neurotransmitters. So you all need a lot of your amino acids for your bodily functions. Low proteins can lead to fatigue, low immunity, and moodiness, of course. Now, it's best to go organic, grass-fed, and plant-based as much as possible. Now, if I know a lot of people here don't eat a lot of gulay, so later we'll go to the plating, the ideal plating that we recommend so that you'll be able to get your gulay in a day. Next slide, please. Prebiotic and probiotic foods are very important for a healthy gut. Like as I mentioned earlier, our gut and our brains have a direct connection. So how the health of our gut directly affects our mood, our brain function, basically. So for you to have good gut bacteria, which actually produces our neurotransmitters, you have to have probiotic and prebiotic foods. So probiotic, itong mga actually sikat to sa atin din, atsara, kasi mga fermented food items, or yogurt, kombucha is making a very big it's very big right now, kasi masarap din siya at the same time. So we have tempeh, we have pickles. So atsara, actually, if you have, and kimchi, so you can have kimchi or atsara in all of your meals, so you get your probiotics from there. Prebiotics are the food of your probiotics, of your bacteria. So these are the fibers in your diet. So inulin, so as long as you get your fibers from the gulay that you eat, you're already actually feeding your good bacteria. Okay, next slide, please. Fruits, of course, last but not the least, are your fruits and your vegetables because they contain vital nutrients that support brain biochemistry and metabolism. Guys, ang vital nutrients natin, our micronutrients, hindi lang yan for the brain, but it's actually for all of the organ systems in the body. Your body will not be able to function properly without your micronutrients. So these are very important. So they also contain, our fruits and vegetables also contain antioxidants and phytochemicals to help combat biochemical changes that happens when under stress. Now, our bodies are in a constant state of stress. Just the fact that we're living, breathing, walking, and thinking. So our bodies create these free radicals on a daily basis. So we have to make sure that we get enough antioxidants so that it will be able to combat these free radicals. Now, question is, what gulay do you eat? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, sorry, before that, so our humans require about 40 different micronutrients to function properly. Actually, we need, depending on how much we actually work out or how active we are, we need from 40 to 92 types of micronutrients. The 40 are just the essentials, but we actually need more than that. Next slide. Next slide, please. So again, let's go back to this. If you'll notice, every single step of our biochemical process to produce serotonin, noradrenaline, and dopamine, you need your micronutrients. Iilan pa lang to. These are just 2 processes. We have like 1,000 different processes, biochemical processes in the body that needs all of these micronutrients. So you have to have a lot of those. Next slide, please. Now, what type of gulay do you need? You need to eat the rainbow. Okay, this is what we call the phytonutrient spectrum in functional medicine. For every different color of fruits and veg that you eat, you get a different type of, it has a different phytonutrient compound. It has a different type of micronutrient. So for you to be able to get all of the micronutrients that you need in a day, you have to eat the different colors. So next slide, please. So just to give an example of the types, okay, medyo balit siya, but these are the examples of the fruits and the veg from each color category. So literally, as in titingnan mo yung itsura, ano yung kulay na kinakain mo. Kung meron lang kayo sa plato nyo, brown for your ulam and white for your rice, sobrang kulang siya. Now, what I want you to do is in a day, eat at least 3 colors of the rainbow. So for example, for breakfast, you had your banana, so you had your yellow. For lunch, you had your salad, you have your greens na. Then for dinner, you can have a pumpkin soup, so you have your orange already. So those are 3 colors of the rainbow that you can mix into your diet already. And you'll be able to get more nutrients as compared to just eating your regular kanin and ulam. Now, really, you have to have all of the colors in the week. Okay, so as much as possible, you do your grocery. Kapag napakamakulay ng grocery cart ninyo at hindi dahil sa boxes ng cereal na kinuha ninyo, that is a very good start. Next slide, please. Now, proper plating. So when you look at your plate already, number 1, you check, are the questions you ask, are these your already whole foods? Ito ba galing sa animals and sa plants? Okay? Do they have your preservatives? Does it have any sugar? Okay? And then if you look at the right side, this is our recommended plating. Half of your plate should be filled with your gulay, okay, your non-starchy vegetables. 1/4 of your plate are for your carbs, and another 1/4 of your plate for your lean protein. And then you can add your fats, your healthy dose of fats, around 2 to 3 tablespoons of, let's say, olive oil or whatever kind of fat that you like. Or if linuto mo na yung ulam mo in the fat, you don't need to add anything else. Now, of course, you also have to make sure you chew your food well. Huwag yung kain, tatlong nguya, tapos lunok agad. Or else, you won't be able to break down the food properly and you won't be able to absorb the nutrients. So, para kang maiimpacho. So, that's not also good because even if you eat it, you won't be able to absorb the nutrients. So, sayang na yung kinakain ninyo. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is my last slide. I always like ending with a quote. So our genes do not tell us that we're going to have a disease. They tell us how we are going to uniquely respond to our environment. This is one of my favorite quotes from the founder of Institute of Functional Medicine, Dr. Jeffrey Bland. We may have the genetic propensity to develop any type of disease, including mood disorders. But if we don't expose ourselves to the environment that will allow us to have these diseases, or if we eat well properly for our genes, we will not develop these diseases. So I hope I was able to impart these something for you guys to take home and prepare your food dahil lunchtime na. So I'm hoping that everyone will be able to apply these right away. Baby steps are always a good start. So add your gulay in, remove all of the bad stuff. Okay, so that's all. If you guys have any questions, please type them in. So if you guys also want to visit us, we are in Alabang, Pasig, and in Quezon City. So we're open during ECQ, thank goodness, because we have, I want to emphasize that we are an essential business because health is very important. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much,
Truly.
Doc
Thank
Candy.
you. Thank you, Doc Candy, for that reminder and mga actionable steps, no, that we can take talagang mamaya bago mag-lunch, no, titingnan ko na yung plating. Tsaka yung ibang colors. And truly, health is wealth. No?
So,
Yeah.
could we accommodate a few questions siguro, Kemi?
Yes, yes.
Sige.
So,
Here we have some question from Derek. No, I'm a law student. I read a lot, and the schedule for work is different, so I have to be wide awake most of the time. So, coffee is life. Around 5 to 6 cups a day, ang buhay niya. So, what would you recommend as a substitute for coffee? And how do I control drinking coffee?
Okay, usually kasi when it comes to lawyers, because my brother's a lawyer, so I know that the study hours are crazy, and the load is really, really crazy. So grabe talaga yung aral. So when it comes to the coffee drinking, actually, medyo kasi hindi healthy yung lifestyle ng mga lawyers minsan, no? But for you, for example, you're super sanay with the 5 to 6 cups of coffee in a day. You have to figure out for yourself also what will keep you awake. Sometimes kasi, ang environment when you're studying, syempre pag gabi na, medyo madilim. So, it's nice to have proper lighting just to make sure that your eyes will get that light, and then it will somehow inhibit your melatonin and make sure that you're awake. So, when it comes to coffee drinking, for example, from 5 to 6 cups a day, you can start replacing, let's say, 1 to 2 cups muna of something else. And minsan kasi yung bitterness lang yung hinahanap mo eh. Okay, minsan gising ka naman talaga, pero sanay na kasi yung dila mo dun sa bitterness. So you can try taking hot cocoa, which also has some caffeine. It can perk you up as well. And wag mo na lagyan ng sugar para mapait din siya. So you can take that. You can try substituting with tea as well. And then if you really need to have that perk up, try to take your coffee just maybe later in the day instead of early in the morning. So in the morning, since you're supposed to be awake, your body's cortisol levels are higher, you're really supposed to be more awake. Don't take your coffee na. You can have your hot chocolate in the morning. So hot cocoa, okay, not yung very sugary drink, and then you can have your coffee later in the day. So unti-unti, wag din yung biglang tatanggalin, because once your body starts, para ka mag-withdrawal symptom, kapag totally tinanggal mo kaagad yung coffee. So you can actually, dapat unti-unti siya until you realize, okay, 2 cups a day na lang pala ako, and then 2 cups is fine.
helpful tips yan. Lalo na, I think part ng kultura din talaga natin na mahilig tayo sa kape, no? May iba-iba tayong types of coffee. And we have
Yes.
here also a little bit related to that, no? When it comes naman to milk tea, yan. Parang, how about milk tea? Parang ilan kaya yung max in a day? Because
Wala. Seryoso. Sa totoo lang, ang dami ko naging problematic patients because during the lockdown, ang daming nag-order ng milk tea, etc. Now, milk tea, the ones that we order out is filled with sugar, number 1. Okay? So, yun pa lang, tinatanggal ko na siya sa diet. So, for example, you like the taste of milk tea, you can actually make at home na lang para makokontrol mo yung sugar. Okay? And you can actually use your own sweetener substitute. So instead of like the syrup, the sugar syrup, you can do stevia or put a little bit of honey. And then ano ba laman ng milk tea? Literally, tsaa, gatas, and sweetener. 'Di ba? It's so easy to make at home. So you can buy your own tea, black tea, whatever kind of tea pa that you like, and you know that it's real tea. You can add your milk. Now, me personally, I don't take dairy because dairy causes a lot of inflammation in the body. So you can put your dairy alternative. So you can do, hi Pat, you can put oat milk or macadamia milk or almond milk of your choice. And then you can put a bit of honey to sweeten it. So it's a healthier, yummy version of your milk tea. At mas mura pa siya.
Yun. So there are options pala for for having our beverages. So we have another question from Jiro. Any thoughts po on how health, like education, can be considered nowadays as a privilege?
It's only considered a privilege when you're already sick. Because when it comes to access to healthcare, doon nagkakatalo. Okay, but health, okay, how do we define health ba? It's really when there's absence of disease. And how do you develop disease? Most of it is really lifestyle. So what do you eat? Number 1, what do you eat? Number 2, do you move? In a day, instead of taking the elevator, are you able to take the stairs? Are you able to sleep properly? Okay, so these are the questions that you have to ask because everyone eats. Okay, and we can't really say na mahal yung kinakain ng mga taong healthy because for most of the people who are healthy, ano ba kinakain nila? Majority gulay. 'Di ba? At gulay is still a lot less expensive compared to our meats. So, when it comes to health, maybe it can be a privilege, but for me, it's more of lack of proper information. Okay, so when it comes, I think, well, it's gonna be, mas malaki pang problema to because when it comes to information to the masses, saan ba nila nakukuha yung information nila? Usually from their barangays, from their kapitbahay, diba? So we really just have to have the information out there. We have to have the key people where they are needed, and hopefully it will really improve the health of our nation because really number 1 talaga diyan pagkain. Bata pa lang tayo, anong pinapakain sa atin para manahimik tayo? Candy. 'Di ba? Siyempre pangalan ko pa. Anong pinapakain sa atin? Because we usually our palates natasanay yan kung ano pinapakain sa atin ng bata tayo eh. So, anong usually pinapakain? Spam, hotdog. 'Di ba? So, how do you expect us to be healthy? Guys, it's not a privilege. It's really all about proper information. If we feed our children the right type of food, gulay pa lang, bata pa lang, sanay na sa isda at saka sa kanin is not an enemy ha. It really it's all about moderation. Kanin, isda, gulay. Okay? Kung yun na pinapakain natin sa mga anak natin from the start, we will have a lot less chronic diseases.
Wow. Much food wisdom to be digested. So maybe we could entertain 2 more questions, Kimmy.
Mhm.
So, hi Doc. I'm super acidic and a lot of the trigger food that I really love, like coffee, occasional fried food, sweets, dairy. Any tips?
Okay, number 1, remove the dairy, remove the sweets, remove the fried food. Okay, joke lang. Okay, pero yun nga, remove the stuff that are hard to digest. Because usually, when you are acidic, yung sinasabi natin may hyperacidity, it's usually not because we have too much acid. Our baseline is we don't have enough acid in our stomach. So, ano bang purpose ng stomach is to break down the food, diba? So, if we have too little acid, our bodies have to overproduce more acid when we start eating. So baseline is so number 1, chew your food well because digestion starts from the mouth. Like I mentioned in my slide kanina, ngumuya kayo at least. Okay, kung sanay kayo na para kang doktor na 2 nguya tas lunok, okay? And mukhang marami sa atin ganon, you have to start na be more mindful when you're eating. Okay, mindfulness is not just when you're still and everything. Mindfulness is all about, even in the little things like eating. Subo, chew your food at least 10 times. Okay? At least 10 times. Ideally, it's 20 times before you swallow. Lalo na yung mga matitigas. Okay? Yung mga steak, yung mga proteins natin, animal proteins. It starts there and then before you swallow. And then, if, for example, you really have hyperacidity, you can take a digestive enzyme or something more acidic like an apple cider vinegar mixed in water before your meal so that the acidity, the baseline acidity of your stomach is already a bit high before you eat. That will also make things easier to digest. And of course, know your triggers. If you know naman that your triggers are the bad stuff, which based on this question, it's the fried, the sweets, and the dairy. So, iwasan mo muna yon. And then we'll start working on your gut health. So you have to work with a doctor when it comes to this because there are very specific items that we really put in the diet before. For example, before meals, we do digestive enzymes, we do the apple cider vinegar concoction para mas makaka-digest ka while you're eating. So you have to really work with your doctors when it comes to that. But yun, remove your triggers. Eh mga bad stuff naman yung triggers mo, so tanggalin na natin yun.
Thank you, Doc Candy. And medyo related din ito doon sa last question na yon. So, parang any tips daw, Doc, when it comes to how can people avoid naman stress eating?
Okay, guilty ako dyan. When I'm stressed, it's either I don't eat or I eat too much. Buti sana if I don't eat, diba? Pero siguro about 60% of the time, I just eat whatever's available. So, you have to make sure that your pantry is clean. When I say clean, hindi naman walang laman. More of what you have there are the healthy stuff. Okay? Now, number 2, we have an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you eat clean. Para on the days that you have stress, now you really need that little, that let's say pepper lunch or that really big bar of chocolate just to get by. You have that leeway. You have that 20%. It's not gonna affect your health so much. Okay, so it's all about balance, guys. We're not gonna tell you never to eat your cakes or your whatever like masasarap na pagkain dyan. But it's all about balance. If you eat right 80% of the time, a little bit of cheat, let's say once or twice a month is not gonna make that big a difference when it comes to your health. Of course, ibang usapan na kapag tipong, syempre, sigh of relief si Pat, diba? Ibang usapan na, for example, you're already diagnosed with something and we tell you, for you to be able to clear out, parang mag-reset yung health, kailangan talaga, let's say, 3 months clean ka. Ibang usapan yun. But on a general, for the general population, 80-20 rule is a good way to balance things out.
What a breath of fresh air to know that we can have yung 1 to 2 times a month na treat. So, whew, pwede pa. Pero everything in moderation. Ako, yan yung key takeaway ko, Kimmy.
Yes, and really parang it starts also with that awareness, no? Na, okay, ano nga ba yung kinakain ko? And parang noticing then, which ones are triggering certain reactions, no, in the body. And that, sobrang na-enlighten din ako about hyperacidity. Dati kasi akala ko, too much. Parang baka sinisikmura lang, gano'n, no? Pero, so it makes much more sense now. Thank you for making the information bite-sized and understandable and digestible today, Doc Candy.
Thanks, everyone, for having me.
So, dear audience, let's give a warm round of applause for Dr. Candy Drilon Dalman.
Yes. Thank you, Doc Candy. And thank you, dearest participants, for staying with us. We still have a few rounds of our raffle, no? So stay with us as we wrap up day 1, no? Ang dami nating na nakuhang mga points today at really madadala natin sa ating day-to-day, no? That, yes, truly packed with insights, no? And we can see we started off today with what is well-being all about, no? And we explored as well our strengths, diba? Becoming aware of these and recognizing that we can work together and we can leverage on each other's strengths as well, no? And exploring how can we maintain bayanihan. And then we also explored the purpose and passion. And of course, as we wrapped up today, no, with food, with what we allow ourselves to nourish our bodies and health with, no. Yan. How about you, Pat? Ano yung pinaka-tumatak sa'yo today, no? From day one. Day one pa lang yan, ha?
Day one pa lang.
Mm.
So, actually, when I take a bigger perspective at things, ang ganda ipagtagpi-tagpi lahat. So you start with you want to alleviate the suffering, like what Albert mentioned. So you alleviate the suffering by looking inwards first, like the compassion towards oneself, no? And then when you realize certain limitations or certain weaknesses, you work with the community, bayanihan, you work with other people's strengths so that your passion is directed outwards. And like what si Lourdes mentioned, no, there's a certain high in being of service and in giving. So it's beautiful to see how every speaker, is complementary of one another. So lahat ng, kaya you take away one thing and then I'm sure it will lead to another application that the speakers have mentioned.
Yes. Interrelated talaga at parang ang holistic, no, nung view na when one, meron din palang connection to dun sa isa, no. And we'd love to hear also, no, from our audience today. And we will be raffling off, no, from those who are engaging with us through the comments and have been sharing their insights, no. So some of our raffle prizes, no, include ayan, dahil we care for well-being as well.
I want to see the prizes. What are they?
Yes, we have a starter pack, no, for pound classes, no, care of Coach Bea. Ayan. Shout out to Coach Bea, who has been helping us as well today. Woohoo! So these ripsticks and weapons of mass percussion in pound, no. So pound is the world's first cardio jam rock out inspired by playing the drums. It looks like a workout, but feels like your own concert. So we encourage you, no, to continue to engage with us as we ask you our checkout question today. No, we'd love to hear from you, and maybe you can share with us ano yung message ninyo, no, for the youth. What is your message for the youth? So in the comment section, we'll be reading and echoing those out, no. Dear youth, and go on, share with us what that message is.
So they'll start off, no, Kimmy, with dear youth and then their message to the youth.
So we'll give
this will,
a few
spark.
moments.
Yeah.
While they are typing, we'd like to recognize and acknowledge again our partners, you know, who have made this possible. So thank you once again to our event partners. We have Rotary Club of Taguig West, Rotary Club of Paseo de Rojas, Viviamo Inc., Crazy About Paper, and supported by Fair and Square as well, hosted by Moment to Moment, Evolvelink, and Pushpin Visual Solutions. So thank you, dear participants. No, we're excited to see your messages. Woohoo! So again, ang ganda, no? Iba-ibang ages din talaga ang participants natin today. And with all of these, no, takeaways that we have, it's not limited to a certain age range, but this is something we share, no, as human beings and as fellow citizens, ayan, of the world, no. We are inspired into action through first, taking care of ourselves, and also being able to ask the questions, no? Even if minsan medyo challenging or disturbing, no? Pero we are able to explore. Yan. So we have a few answers already here. So we have
Nathania.
From Nathania. Dear youth, eat healthy and think healthily.
And another one from Kim Charles Manlang. Dear youth, continue to find your purpose and passion. Continue striving for more towards achieving your goals. Failures are normal. What's important is you know how to stand again and continue your journey. Focus on what you have control over with. Akap mahigpit. So someone misses that tactile feel. Thank you, Kim.
Mhm. We have from Derek, no, dear youth, life is a series of decisions. Every day of your life, you live on the basis of the decisions that you make. You make literally hundreds of decisions every day. You decide what you are going to do that day. You make a decision about how you are going to respond or react to the things that come to you. How empowering. Thank you, Derek.
I love it. So from Matthew Murillo, dear youth, don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. And
From
from
Okay,
go ahead,
we
Kimmy.
have, yes, sorry. From Dear Youth, it may seem that everything is directionless as of the moment, but it will get better. The world is starting to listen, and we are making a great change. Our voices are being heard, so stand and speak out.
I love it. You are seen, heard, and felt. And from Myral Manalo, it's okay to put yourself first. Find the ritual that works for you. Be in the infinite now and let go of anything that pulls you away from the present.
From Claire, Dear Youth, you're still and always will be the pag-asa ng bayan.
Ooh.
Woohoo!
And from Trace Buenafe Togonon, dear youth, understand that taking care of yourself is not a fad, it is a necessity. Well, YOLO, make sure you do not regret the decisions you made during your youth.
From Marielle, dear youth, take time. Don't rush up things. Enjoy every scenery in your destination. Virtual hugs.
I love it. And dear youth, you are not alone. We're all in this together. Don't merely conform to society, but be informed and learn how to find your purpose in life to form your own meaning. Thank you, John.
Dear youth, I hope you learn to put your value towards your health by eating properly and taking care of yourself. Salamat, Jose Lagarda.
Okay, so from Lian Sebreros, dear youth, just remember to be strong always and don't forget to smile and pray always to God.
From Reg Marie, dear youth, remember that life will give you so much lessons. You're going to experience a lot of struggles too. Be an inspiration for those who are weak, since you have also been once voiceless or unable to act. Be the change you want to see in the world, as Mahatma Gandhi said. When change is present in you, you can impact the world. Love yourself so you can love others too. Good luck and keep fighting. Aja.
Yeah, this was mentioned already earlier, but thank you again, Claire. From Diane Pasilang, dear youth, my fellow youth, allow yourselves to make mistakes. However, don't let those mistakes limit you and make you feel less. Optimize yourself and embrace and acknowledge your uniqueness. Live.
Woohoo. From Rosh Galupo, dear youth, you are allowed to feel messed up sometimes. Just give permission to work on your well-being. Focus on what you have control over with. Give yourself a pat and recognize even the smallest of things that you have achieved today. You are loved and continue pursuing your passion. Salamat.
Lastly, from Cynthia Lynn Limbanganon, dear youth, this life is really overwhelming. Continue the journey and enjoy every experience. Live and love.
We encourage everyone to continue to type in the chat, and we will be raffling off and contacting you personally, no, with that. And so thank you for sharing your heartwarming and encouraging and empowering messages, no, today. At abangan, wait, there's more, no? It doesn't end with today. We still have a day two. And so we're excited to see you tomorrow. So we will be reading one last, no? So to
From
cap
Anton
off the day,
Velion.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Anton says, "Dear youth, if ever you feel alone, know that there is certainly someone else in the world who understands what you're going through. Be sure to take care of yourself and don't be afraid to open up to the friends and family you surround yourself with. And I promise you, you will be able to get through anything."
Thank you for that reminder, and thank you for your messages. Keep
Thank you.
typing in and sharing those with us. No, so we'd like to share our evaluation form as well. No, so we request for the gift of your feedback. Share with us in the comments. No, let us know what you think about today and your main takeaways. No? So this will allow us to improve better, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow. No? So this is the link as well in the chat. And ano ba yung aabangan natin bukas, Pat? No?
Ooh.
So to name a few, one would be, we'll be starting off with connecting with community for mental wellness. No? So mental health was repeated a number of times in the registration form. And so that is something we are going to talk about tomorrow.
Love it. Then
Mhm.
then we're seeing money mindset. So I think this would be a financial well-being as well.
Mm-hmm. With Viviamo's founder, no, Dar T. Nilo. So we're excited for that. Siyempre, di ba, hindi lang siya our physical health, but also how we manage the resources around us. No? And we have as well a fellow student, no, and dancer, no, who will be talking about physical well-being. So well-being on point.
Then
At dahil
go
day
ahead.
of age ng social media, ayan, meron din tayong social media, no? Well-being and social media. What else do we have to look forward to, Pat?
So we the well-being in social media, how to find a fulfilling career. Moving forward, sustainable practices on well-being. So we have so much for you, and we hope that you could join us again tomorrow for expanding one's options in optimizing one's well-being. Because remember, compassion begins by taking care of oneself.
Truly, and sharing is caring. So we would appreciate if you can share these same channels with your friends. Same time, we'll see you at 9 a.m. And what a great way, no, to begin our weekend as we deepen our practices for well-being.
All right.
Woohoo.
So thank you very much again, dear participants. It was our joy to have you as well. So concluding today, again, thank you. My name is Patrick Angeles. And
I'm Kimmy, yes. And thank you for joining us for day 1 of YouthSpace, a summit on well-being. Kita-kita bukas.
It's
And
thank you
keep
so
sharing
much.
your messages. Woohoo!
Yes. See you guys.
See you.